What's going on, and welcome to the Stick Drift Podcast, a podcast for all things cars, racing games, motorsports, and more. And welcome to a guest episode of the Stick Drift Podcast. Today I'm joined with BlackPanthaa, also known as Theo Thomas, because that's his name, and BlackPanthaa, of course, being his online persona, but I'll let him introduce himself in a minute. I just wanted to preface this episode. This is a guest episode of the Stick Drift Podcast. Of course, BlackPanthaa is featured in the new Motorfest update, and as well as, talked to him a few times, me and him just have a lot of stuff to say, and I realized that we really could have been talking about that stuff on a podcast. Here is my one. So head down there and subscribe, because every single week we talk about all things car culture, racing games, and motorsports. We follow F1, we follow new car drops, we follow car cancellations, we follow companies doing dumb things like Jaguar switching to all SUVs, and we follow the racing games, all of them. But this episode here is actually 2 episodes. So one comes out this week, and then one comes out either next week or the week after that, because me and Theo ended up recording for 4 hours. 4 hours straight of recording. Accidental. I mean, I say accidentally. I warned him, because I had Corey, his friend, the owner of the Knobheads. I had him on before, and we ended up going for 3 hours. Me and Theo went for 4 hours. And it didn't drag. It was just conversation. But more of the conversation to do with racing games, to do with the current state of cars, to do with I suppose the current state of Need for Speed, the crew, all of that was in the second 2 hours of the episode. And most of the first 2 hours was us talking about gym, us talking about kids these days, and what we're going to do with our kids, actually, for a little bit. Some plans. We talked about society and whatnot. And a bunch of stuff about, the internet nowadays. Some stuff that I'm like, you know what? A lot more personal. So this is going to be the one about the game, about him being in the crew, about Need for Speed, and then tune in next week or the week after that for the other episode of this guest episode, where it's me and Theo going through everything, sort of more just having a chat, a good old two fellas having a waffle. So yes, tune in. Leave a review on the podcast, as you can do on Spotify. Leave a like, share the podcast, because that's the only way podcasts really grow. And I'm not going to waste much more of your time. Let's head into the guest episode. Here you go. Welcome back to the Stick Drift Podcast, a podcast for all things, as the intro states, cars, car culture, racing games, and motorsports. And yes, finally, welcome back to a guest episode of the podcast. And like when there was stuff going on with TDU, we brought on Alex. When there was stuff going on with Forza, we brought on Ewan. And there is some actual stuff going on with Need for Speed, with the crew, more directly, with everything is doing something nowadays, actually. But we finally have on the podcast Theo Thomas?
Yes.
BlackPanthaa, go ahead.
There you go.
Introduce yourself.
I make car video. That's what I do. That's pretty much what I do. I live and breathe it.
And
absolutely,
they will be platinum in every summit, mandatorily. Speaking of platinum in every summit, you have a platinum vehicle now. Being as I'm very well versed in this and rather into it, I'll explain what specifically is public by the time of this episode. So, you're pictured with a car, which is a Skyline. You own a Skyline. And there is, on the upcoming summit, there's one missing, or like 2 missing. Shmi, for some reason, doesn't have a summit car. And a summit with your name on it doesn't have a summit car. But there is, of course, that summit car in that image. So tell me about that. In fact, I'll bring up the image just so you know what you can say about that.
I have no idea.
There's a summit car? What?
I have no idea.
But it's it has like halo lights, which looks kind of sick, I will say. But there it is. Did you photo shoot for this image specifically? Did you have to do a big? I know we did that at Goodwood. They had us doing the big
Yes. So I have done some stuff in terms of like pictures, as you can see.
Yes.
Of me in a very.
I mean, you've got your you've got your whole own main stage, so I'd imagine you've recorded stuff for that.
Some things. I've recorded some things.
Okay. Now,
like it's kind of crazy to see that. And I actually didn't know myself how the whole picture would kind of come together. So I know there's, I think, Stare Online, who is the other guy that's kind of with me. The others, I had no idea.
Yeah. Return of Forceberg, that dude in blue, and Shmee is a wild one.
Now,
that's
here's a open question to Ivory Tower. How much did you pay them?
Yeah. You know what?
Shmee?
I'd wonder the exact same thing. Is that I'd be like, I mean, okay.
Nah, to be fair, it's sort of this like, I got invited to do the thing.
Yes.
And I'm like, of course.
Immediately.
There's no question.
Yeah.
That I would like to be involved in it. And no, again, it's super good thing. Ivory Tower have always done a better job than everyone else in terms of getting community involved in the whole thing. To some aspect or another, it doesn't really matter. Everyone else feels a bit like varying amounts, but again, popular game. Forza feels like a brick wall.
Yeah.
Because you've got again huge creators involved with it, and there's absolutely no link between those people at all.
They take themselves too seriously, right? They're stuck in
sad.
that. Yeah.
I get it to a kind of level we were talking about earlier,
where
if they came out and did something, then they're in the game. They're going to remove them, and what would be the fallout of a situation like that? But one thing I was kind of always thinking of as well, actually, you know how Hoonigan was in Motorfest?
Yes.
I was always thinking, like, did they contract Ken Block for that?
No, yes. So
I was kind of
so
I was kind of thinking about that because it's like, was that meant to be Ken Block? Because that would have been kind of sad but kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like he would have been forever like in that.
Yeah. I mean, I did think about that because obviously testing for the game began like February, so they had something to work with by that point. So it's like they must have been working on this stuff for ages up to this point. Which, especially given there was trailers where we saw both Forsberg and you in just a few months after. So it
true.
Yeah, it does stand to think that like it could have been Ken Block. Obviously passed away in January, but like it would have been amazing to see him immortalized in that.
It would have been. Yeah, that's the thing. I keep thinking about how in 2015 he's in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's an always online game. So one day, like the crew, that thing is gonna die.
Oh, that's so unfortunate that like even if he got into
crazy.
Yeah. Even if he got into
really
Motorfest, it would have been shut down eventually as well. Yeah. Even if he was in Motorfest, because that would have eventually been Crew 1 as well, which you probably will talk about later. But one thing I think about, it's such a sad passing. It obviously was felt throughout the car world, and I think about it. I'm like, God, I no hate on Scotto. I'm like, it would have been Ken Block, and I would have been interviewing Ken Block, and it's like. Not even.
He is such an awesome guy. I managed to speak to him a couple times because of 2015.
Yeah.
And again, he came across initially because I spoke to a few people that were in 2015, and he almost kind of came across a little blunt when I first thought. I was like, I don't know. I didn't get like a wholesome thing from it, but then I just kind of realized after processing it, thinking about how I come across at the time and how I was more nervous at the time. I was like, that guy was nervous.
Yeah.
Like he's just a normal guy that's kind of just blown up, and that's pretty rare. And it was kind of sad to think about, like, I'm sure he was misunderstood by a lot of people in that way.
Yeah.
Because I've received it too. I'm not at least
POV
I've
Forza
definitely read it.
Horizon.
I was never a super confident person, and sometimes confident people perceive that as them being like a
Yeah.
dick or
Yeah.
being rude or unappreciative of the situation they're put in. And I feel yeah, but that was an interesting one. He's a really shy guy.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
weird to me because everyone that's big is charismatic and I met Clarkson and he was very like
Yeah.
confident and it's such a drastic thing that you don't see shy people generally big.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
then
it was nice to see,
there's,
honestly.
There's obviously like things that happen from it, like Forza Horizon 5, which happened to you. I will also say that like one thing that I try and do a lot, because I definitely feel very self-conscious that I yap way too much sometimes. Like even when we went to the Cars and Cafe place the other day, I like right after that I'm like, I was talking too much. I was definitely talking too much. People wanted me to shut up, I swear.
I never got that.
Okay, I'm glad, tell you what, for myself.
I
But
never got that.
I always, I'm worried of it.
I get it. I understand. It's also YouTuber brain.
Yeah.
You're like, fill the space, and then I do less editing.
Exactly. Yeah, no, literally that. I talked to with my ex, her dad. I talked to him decently often when we were together. And you know, I'd make a good conversation with him. Oh, he was like, oh yeah, I tell you what, you talk pretty well. And then streaming got bigger, and I'm like, streaming has made me shit at talking. I'm going on one tangent, I'm circling back, I'm going on another tangent, I'm trying to fill the space, I'm trying to online meetings do my head in as well, because I don't get like a yeah, oh yeah, like a before the sentence end interruption wonders for me. Do that, right? Like I love that, because then I know, okay, good, they've taken the conversation. Like but then I don't get that in like professional online meetings, so I'm just going and going. But
I mean that's fair. It's something that again you're aware of it.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing, and that you as long as you kind of share two people to some capacity that put in, as you kind of just said. It absolutely helps, and yeah, I never thought that you speak too much. Again, I am also YouTuber brain.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. One thing I try and prioritize, which I don't know if you noticed this. One thing I try and do is, especially if I'm with my mates, because Josh definitely not YouTuber brained, at all. Really, I think Dylan would be a bit too hesitant to do it. He'd assume beforehand that like the same thing of wanting to talk. What I'll do often is I'll do like conversations going in some direction. I'll be like, oh yeah, Josh actually. Oh yeah, Dylan actually. Oh yeah, Mush actually, etc. And I prompt them to have a big talk on, jump into the conversation.
Yeah.
I like doing that.
Yeah, again, that's a really nice way to balance it. Cause, it definitely, if those people feel like they would like to maybe contribute and like just not have the confidence to kind of jump in with something like that, it's a good way to like throw it off to them. Yeah.
Especially when I know it can be brought up, and often I'll think like, if I had that same thing, I'd bring it up right now. I'd jump in and be like, oh yeah, that is what, and then so I'm like, oh yeah, have a big waffle just as much as I do,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Ken Block. I think it always boils down to they're just like a guy. It's just a guy. Yeah. It's just like the same way people are one way or the other way. You get people like that.
It was really just different to experience that, and like it really helped me. I think realize that I don't necessarily have to be this just kind of big out there all the time. Because I'm the type of guy that would just kind of stand there and be like, yeah, I'm like enjoying it to my own capacity. I'm like enjoying myself. Like, let me just kind of. And another thing I had issues with is with a lot of PR stuff. Pre-COVID, they very much, at least British PR, it's kind of built into the culture of, you got to come out for a drink. You got to come out for a drink. You got to come out. If you don't, I'm gonna take that as you being rude and unappreciated. That really frustrates me.
Yeah. I think thankfully one thing that's sort of overtaken it is just grabbing a bite to eat, you know, just going out and talking over lunch or
That's
something
fine.
instead of going out to a pub or anything or
But
a,
that really
a bar.
bothers me. It really
Yeah,
bothers
yeah. So I
me.
saw you
I'm
talked
not
about that.
yeah,
Not a
it's
while
such
ago
a it is
now.
a huge thing.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing.
There was also one thing rather funny with the whole Hoonigan stuff was that they did the big update and Scotto does an interview with me. They add his cars. They do a damn pretty terrible Lego set. But they do that. I do an interview with him titled The Future of Hoonigan. 2 weeks later, less than a week later, Hoonigan sold to No Name Suit. I'm like, what? It was so unfortunate that he does the promo run, presumably contractedly. Look, no hate to him.
Yeah.
The fella got the bag. But he does the promo run and then, immediately after, sold to some suit. And it was just, oh, well, all right, well.
It's kind of sad because you think about like where could they have gone with it?
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I know. Again, I only recently discovered that they had. I'd seen them recommended, like their YouTube channel and a few YouTube channels, I think. And I get that, but that wasn't their main kind of source. And so, where do you go? The face has gone.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like they were.
That's what happened to Top Gear, right?
Passed,
Yeah.
it would be gone. Like, yeah, Top Gear died a very slow death, but that should have been instant.
Exactly. Well, it died that slow death
now,
because
Amazon is going to try and do the exact same thing with the Grand Tour.
Yeah.
They're trying to find new people. It's just not going to work.
It's so rarely will hit. Like, it has to be such a specific person, has to be introduced before. Like, obviously, we'll see it play out now. But MatPat, the people he's handing the channels off to, they've been in stuff for ages now. They were writing the scripts and everything. But it's going to be interesting to see if no MatPat equals now it flops, or if they did it well. If they were the few to have done it well.
That's the big thing, is YouTube is popular in the basis that it's people.
Yeah.
I've not seen, and even I've seen the death of collective channels where they kind of swap people out all the time and things like that.
Yeah.
There has to be a like common face that people kind of attach to.
The fact that
faces.
the sidemen have gone around so long, like those are notable faces. Those are the sidemen. They are the group of 7 really conveniently diverse people who you see them in everything. You see them consistently.
There's even a creator kind of info YouTube kind of metrics channel that I watched maybe last year quite a lot.
Yeah.
And the main guy left.
Yeah.
We didn't even know, to be fair, we didn't even know it was run by like multiple people, like a business.
Yeah.
But he was the face of it, and then all of a sudden it was like, I'm leaving. And then he started his own channel and things like that. And now that business is like dead.
Yeah.
They wanted him. They didn't care about. But the thing is, all of his kind of background and info was done by like a team. The same team operates it.
Yeah.
But it's the face. It's like if Matt Armstrong, for example, started like, oh yeah, now we've got this guy. He's gonna take over. No one. That's it.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah.
The channel is called Matt Armstrong.
Well, it's like if we cast someone to be Black Panther. If you stepped away and you were like, don't worry though, guys, channel's still going, but it's this guy. It's the same channel. He's gonna make the same videos, but it's this guy.
That would be funny,
right?
You know what? I wonder if I can find someone that like looks like me, and it's just
I'll grow my hair out again.
Valley.
Don't worry, I'll grow my hair out
Uncanny
again.
Valley, and have like a whole video uploaded, just of someone completely different, and people be like, "That's different."
That's what. I'm like,
that would be funny.
Did Black Panther get war machined? So what's up? But what's it called? I had a bit of fun. I wish I did more of these. But I just sort of, I don't know, it's the same sort of thing where I'm like, I don't know, bigger creator, I don't know if they want to bother with something like this. but Ewan Thiakaran, one of his videos, I was just like, hey, Ewan, what if I, for no reason, don't explain it, just did your outro, as if I was you? And then, for a follow-up one, he did my outro, as if he was me. And just like, that was it, not mentioned.
It's pretty funny.
Right? It's
pretty funny.
Such a dumb, funny thing that I wish I continued, but at the time I just didn't have many connections at all, really. And to go, hey, could you put me in one of your outros? It's just a bit like it's a weird thing to do. But it is like, it's just having a new person be on the channel and see how that goes. And never explain it, never address it.
I think an interesting one to watch for me is, I watch it regularly anyway, Linus Tech Tips.
Yes, yeah.
Because of course they've got a huge team behind them.
Yeah.
He unappointed himself as CEO because he was stressed. He just wanted to just make content.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember for a while he wanted to go on holiday.
Yeah.
And so for the week they kind of pre-recorded some stuff, but then they needed to buff it out. So they were like, let's have the other people host.
Yeah.
And kind of slot them in between. And they didn't perform as well, obviously, without Linus being the face of it. But it seems like over time, he's done a really, really good job of slowly introducing characters and people into the videos to the point now where if it's someone else's face in the thumbnail, they get as many views because they're like, oh, that guy works with Linus.
Yeah, that's the important thing.
They did like a slow boiling the frog situation.
Yeah. Well,
that's the best way to do it.
It's like Smosh, right? I never watched Smosh. Growing up, I just never came around to it. But now I've come to Smosh, and I only really watch the like Reddit stories and the few whatever ones they do. And it's like, it's not Ian, it's not Anthony. Those aren't the two that I like know. And I'm like, oh yeah, the Smosh people. I see Shane Top, or I'll see Courtney Miller, and I'm like, oh yeah, Smosh, right? And they talk about how originally didn't do well. People were like, who are these guys? These guys aren't Ian and Anthony. No. But then slowly now they've got their own people who enjoy it for them and click for them instead of it. That's the main thing you got to do, is you got to build them as personalities in the background first. I think if you... So basically...
If you throw out a new face, it's going to be like, nah.
So basically you can replace yourself with Matty. There you go.
Oh, God. The comments are so conflicted with Matthew. Some people are like, oh my God, I love when Matthew's in videos. And then more and more people are saying, I can't stand that guy.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? I agree. Sometimes that guy drives me insane. However, sometimes he just comes out with these things and it's hilarious. And I'm just like, you know what? Maybe you're worth it.
That's the good bit of fun. I've got it sort of the everyone asks for me to do more. Like I've got Josh and Dylan, and everyone always asks for me to have them on more. It's just the ideas that I do with them are always the hour-long recordings. God damn it!
Always. Yeah. It's a lot more effort. Yeah.
Like the one that we did was an hour long, and it's just like it's just getting through that. Like, what I really want to do, and I keep saying that I do want to do this, is Motorfest Top Gear with Dylan and Josh. And I'm like, that could work. That could work really well. But, you know, what am I going to film for? Like, and that's one of those ones where I got to plan it out beforehand as well. And I got to have a whole thing ready. And I got to... it's a
and those are usually the videos that perform the worst. The ones that take the most time.
Yeah. That's... Oh, God, it's terrible. One I mentioned before I was upset about is I did 2 different ideas, right? And I'm never doing them again. It was the Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis and KSI or whatever fight was going on. So I was like, what if I battled their cars? That one stank. And then the Lewis Hamilton swap happens. And the day after I do a video on that one stank. That one was licking the floor is what that one was doing. It was oh God, that one was so painful. Terrible.
And then you're like, I'm never doing anything like that ever again.
Yeah. And it's
even remotely close.
Because I'm like, that one was really fun. But I can't do something like that. And now the worst thing is I'm going to see an opportunity for a video like that again. And I'm going to be like, oh, that would be No, no,
Yeah,
no.
nah.
The Motorfest Top Gear one hopefully is one that if I actually spit out at any point would hopefully do a big, that's a big,
Yeah.
that's a, I'm hesitant to mention it because the other day I mentioned like a video because I record them on stream and then the actual getting them out is like maybe 3 days. Someone uploaded a video that I talked about on stream the day before I uploaded it because I recorded it and talked about it, and then they undercut me, overcut whatever, beat me to my own damn video. Did my edit. I was like, god damn it.
Fair,
Yeah.
fair.
So I'm hesitant to bring it up because it's not been done yet. But now I've brought it up, everyone's gonna bloody do it. But I do want to do that. That's all
Let
I
me just write that down.
yeah. But well, the one thing is like getting a guest star every time is like I probably could, but I'd feel really annoying going to everyone being like, "Hey, can you like drive on this event for a little bit and then we'll just like talk about your run or whatever." But I feel like I've even got it's perfect, right? It's gonna be the Donut Media event where you go through the cones and whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you gotta do it in a cheap car, so if it's someone who doesn't really play the crew much, they can just pick up the car quick. In the Marco's Cab Crown Vic, and it's called Collab in a Cab.
I mean,
it writes itself.
It works.
But briefly mentioned earlier, the crew.
Yeah.
This is a big month for the crew as a franchise. The Crew 2 got its final ever update. The Crew Motorfest is getting its what seems like last made before release update. And I mean, this is the one that's going to dictate the future. They've added a bunch of things. They've changed a bunch of things. They added legacy main stages. If you even check that out at all, we talk about that in a bit.
I've seen it. Yeah.
But one major thing that rounds off this month being relevant to every crew game in March is that this month the Crew 1 shuts down for good. That's it. It's over right before the game was about to turn 10 years old. They shut it down. So what was your take on that whole thing? Your whole stand on... Because Crew 1 was rather... what's the word? It played a big part in you coming up, did it not? Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, to me, it was one of those where we were waiting for Need for Speed. So this was, 2013? So we were waiting for Need for Speed to get back into gear, like stop prattling about, like get back to customization, get back to a story, progression. Because they were doing the whole, here's Hot Pursuit. I'm like, for God's sake. I want to race out a car, please. So they came out and we heard rumors initially. It was like rumors for a new driver game, I think it was.
Yeah.
Just before E3. And then here it comes. Here's the Crew. And it's the whole of the damn USA. You can customize your cars like underground, like listening to all the interviews. It was like, oh my God. Street racing, underground racing, it's like back.
It's made by the guys from TDU.
They brought it back.
It's
made by the head of TDU 2, TDU 1, whatever. They're back. Yep. And it was crazy. It's insane. And so the game obviously comes out. It's good. I wouldn't say it's perfect.
Yeah.
But the fact that I think still to this day, it created the staple for post-launch support
100%.
for not just racing games, like games in general. It was like one of the first games to just provide crazy updates. And they did a graphics overhaul for free in one of the updates. I've never in a AAA like physical disc game. I've never seen that before. I certainly like RuneScape or whatever. But it's just not even. It's not the same. The people are paying subscriptions monthly for those damn games. They got infinite money. But it's definitely interesting looking at all the Crew games, all three of them. The first game clearly went after Need for Speed. Yes. It was like, let's bury Need for Speed. Need for Speed at the time when they started working on that game, because it was, like 7 years they worked on that?
Yeah.
Need for Speed was top dog, and so like, let's chase Need for Speed. And now it's clearly shifting over to Forza Horizon. And so Motorfest is like, I like a little bit of that. Let's, do our own
Yeah.
spin on it. Personally, I would say that Motorfest does a better job at the whole festival thing.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Nope. That after this though, there cannot be a single festival game
Yeah.
ever again.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people will. I cannot hype up another Horizon game. It's just not gonna happen. At least they don't change the formula. And if the next crew is a festival game, there's just gonna be. I can't. I
will
can't
say,
do it.
One thing about the crew as a franchise is people talk about maybe this is a bit of a cop out, but people are like, what? It's losing its identity. You know, an update to the crew 1, they would say it's losing its identity. Then the crew 2, then the crew Motorfest, and maybe it's a cop out, but I feel like the crew's identity has been having no identity. It's that it is the current thing. Dark and gritty revenge plot when dark and gritty revenge plots were a thing. Watch Dogs 2 was right round the corner with a happy-go-lucky get-famous plot, and then the Crew 2 releases with a happy-go-lucky get-famous plot. Like,
so from what I know, Ubisoft had a shift in general that they went to make games more like happy fun in general across the board, of course, other than like a couple of specific ones like Assassin's Creed. You can't really make it like yay happy, but in every one of their IPs they tried to do that where it was possible, and that was pretty obvious with the Crew 2 and then Crew
Watch Dogs as well was the same,
and Watch Dogs, which to be honest, Watch Dogs 2 was I loved it. It was one of my favorite games of that time, but because of how the first game they misled and the damage was done. Unfortunately, at that point, you get like a couple of chances. They kind of messed it up. But yeah, with the Crew 1, I would say it's still my favorite Crew game.
Oh, okay,
I think in pretty much most aspects, it's my favorite game. I would say Motorfest by far is a better game. Like if you look at it in terms of, I want to jump in and play. Especially post completion. Even though I would say the Crew Motorfest kind of still has a bit of a problem there in terms of guided, what do I do now? Because most people will play the playlist and be like, I'm done. That's it. The game's finished. It doesn't really explain to you properly what you're supposed to do afterwards. But then I get into these moods where, honestly, sometimes I'll play it once a week. Sometimes I might go a little while not actually playing it at all. But then I'll come back and I'll be like, I want to sweat out these drift events, which means I need to get all these parts, which means I need to grind, and I'll get into it and I'll play it for like a week straight. It does a really good job at doing that. Whereas, again, something Forza struggles with, they add a car, I get it, I unlock it after 30 minutes, I'll drive it around, and then I'm done with it. The Crew does that much better now, even than it used to with the Crew 1. The Crew 1 had a lot of events to do and stuff, but they were tied so closely to the story that once you'd done them, it was like, unless you're going after platinum on every event, which I did, after that, you're like, okay. I mean, I know we've got the whole US, but they didn't really make use of it. In the Crew 2, with those updates that they did, they definitely made a much better use of the map. With all the updates, that was great. Like towards the end, they did such a good job. Even with this mad one, that map honestly might have been the best use of the map in a really long time in like any game. But the Crew one's definitely my favorite. I'm really, really, really upset to see that go. I've seen things moving in terms of creators calling this out and
I mean, it went up to Mutaha, I believe, is the biggest that I've seen.
Yeah, which is crazy. But it's really sad because I really loved the first game, and it's something that I definitely want. I go back to Most Wanted 05. I wanted to go back to the Crew in the exact same way that I do that. And you will not be able to. It honestly, I think it's kind of disgusting.
Not adding an offline patch, vile. Like,
It's
vile.
vile.
Like,
it actually, I think, did more damage to my perspective of the Crew Motorfest and the future. It's 100%. Like, should I put the time, effort, money into it to the same capacity as I did the Crew 1 when I won't have access to this stuff? Like, now I know I won't have access to my save file again, that's it. Unless someone cracks this thing, I think though the saves are stored on the server. I don't know if they're actually local.
They did post a thing recently in the server for it where you can extract your save file. That's a thing currently that they put. They
I should
posted.
probably do that.
Yeah, I need to do that as well. Yeah. They said you can. I don't play on PC, so it's a fresh account.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
save my PS one unfortunately, but yeah,
that's the thing. Most, and even if modders figured this out, I mostly play it on PlayStation. So there's my hundreds of hours are just completely in the toilet.
Yeah.
And talk about like people are realizing FOMO stuff in games is not great.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is another level of that because my damn game doesn't open.
Yeah, I paid for this. What are you talking about? What are you doing?
It's really unfortunate. I feel kind of bad because I know it's likely not Ivory Tower's decision. It's likely not even Ubisoft's decision, to be completely honest.
Oh.
I think the main enemy here is car brands and music licensing. They are a nightmare to work with.
Yeah. I mean, it's why Driver got nuked, right?
And it's one of the reasons why Rockstar's just given up on Midnight Club. What's the point of paying these car companies fees to have the cars in the game when I keep saying this, these cars being in these games, like Toyota not being in Need for Speed, these cars being in these games, and when they were, inspired people to want those cars or buy those cars or like love that brand, and they don't understand that. Kids aren't going to be sitting playing like Gran Turismo and go, oh yeah, I love the Supra. They're going to be playing like the Need for Speeds, and so only recently have we got Toyota in Motorfest. It wasn't in the previous Crew games, and it's like it damages your brand more.
Yep.
Doing this stupidness, and that's not even the point. Having to charging for the cars to be in the game. Yeah. And charging, and it varies. I don't know how much you know, but sometimes they have a flat fee.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they have like a rolling percentage of sales of the game.
Yeah.
And it just kind of blows my mind that these games are pulled because of these car brands.
Yeah.
When, if anything, the
car brands should be pulled because of the games.
Yeah. These games end up being like museums.
Yeah,
you go
exactly.
back and look at the cars for the area. Like Gran Turismo, thankfully they did an offline patch.
Yeah.
But that's very Japanese kind of culture, as to they would not do that. It doesn't make any sense. But it's so unfortunate that it's just gonna be gone. Like it's
like it just if there's no offline patch, because adding an offline patch, they'd have to advertise it, and then maybe, I don't know, RAM is gonna be like, hang on, you just updated that game. That quantifies it as a current game, so
that's the problem.
We'll take an extra bit of payment, actually. Like,
that's the problem.
Yeah.
They were not quick enough on it.
Yeah.
Because GTA 4, for example, got they ripped out the Games for Windows Live rubbish that was just broken on that game.
Yeah.
And then doing that game got an update, and so music was removed because they couldn't renew the licenses.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That is how that works stuff. Then. Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it works. Is because even Rockstar couldn't relicense some of the music that they had in the game, and that's Rockstar.
Yeah.
Like Rockstar. But it's incredible that GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, they kept every song. There's no songs omitted from those games. Because, again, Rockstar money. But unfortunately, not everyone has Rockstar money.
Yeah. I feel like having to be a brand definitely is unfortunate there. Because if the Crew were just like, and you know what? Nissan, screw you for not letting us update the Crew 1. I'd be like, all right, yeah, let's hate on Nissan.
Yeah.
Why are we hating on the Crew 1? You know, why are we getting mad at Ubisoft if
they do that? Nissan is never.
There you go. Then they're not gonna wanna, the licenses that they do have. And there was the whole Subaru thing with the Crew 1, which there's so many different issues that are primarily caused by the car brands being absolute nuisances.
And that's why we don't have Midnight Club anymore.
Yeah.
Because what's the point when you can just create slightly different car models and put them
Yeah.
into GTA.
And then
you
you
get
can
full profits,
Yep.
and then all you've got to do is pay music licensing, because again, music is something you can't really avoid
Yeah.
unless you're. I guess the crew does the Epidemic Sound playlist, which is
yeah.
which actually I appreciate. You know,
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking about this the other day. I was like,
Yeah.
I insanely appreciate that there's a streamer mode in
One
the
that
crew.
works,
Like,
not like Forza.
one that works. Yeah, exactly. I've been claimed many times by the Forza one. But the fact that there's a streamer mode, I was just kind of thinking, like, how many people actually stream this?
Right? Yeah, yeah. And
But
there's
they
that care
still
put into
did it.
Yeah, yeah.
They
Exactly.
still did it.
There's so
It's
many-
really appreciated.
There's a lot of things like that in the Crew Motorfest. There's some things that it's so opposite ends. Because there's like part systems, rims, number plates, and I'm like, why didn't you update this? Why didn't this get an update? Why am I putting a motor core on an EV? What are you talking about? Like, but there's that thing, or whatever. I don't know if a motor core is on an EV or not, actually, now that I think about it.
I don't remember. Yeah, whatever.
But there's so many things that they didn't think about. But then it's like the game is compatible with a plane steering wheel game thing.
Really?
Yeah, that's a thing. I want to do that, but I'm like, am I gonna pay 80 quid for a video that's gonna make me 20 quid? Am I gonna do that? But it's like, yeah, they've got that. They've got all these little details in all these little places. They've got the one-to-one steering, and there's so many things that are just for the most specific of specific audiences. And then there's so many things that are like, why? Why did this get overlooked? The photo mode kind of actively sucks. Not gonna lie. It sort of has decayed in each game. Not like I only really knew the Crew 2's photo mode, so I was like, this is great. But then I went back to the Crew 1 and I was like, wait, this is better. We've lost things, and yeah, so many things of the livery system. Oh god. I tell you what though, Motorfest, festival, and whatnot, would it be better? Hear me out. If it was still not a festival, but an actual. I went to Santa Pod, and Santa Pod had like a layout thing, and it looked like I was looking at the main stage. It was like a little logo for Jap Show, and then you see Jap Show appear here and there and whatever. One big thing that I hate so much is, what if the car meet tent, which I despise and cannot care about for a second, looked like this? What if it had this atmosphere? For the audio listeners, the atmosphere of a parking lot car meet, just some kind of professional meet, even if it's at like a Santa Pod, right? Like a professional meet where they've opened an area and they're like, hey, go on there and park your cars. And voting for the custom show would be a lot cooler if you're walking through like you're walking through a car meet, and then you vote for the cars as you go.
It is pretty, like, I don't like that you spawn in the tent area.
It annoys me.
Every single time you come to the... That is not the place I want to be.
Yeah, yeah.
I get what their intent was there, that you can kind of, it's a hub space, you load back in and you pick on the board of what you're going to do. But I don't do it, I press circle.
When all of that's in the menu as well. Every bit of that's in the pause menu. I regret so much. I used to say in the Crew 2, every time I'd load into the Street Racing HQ, I'd be like, oh god, I have to run over to the summit. I wish this was just a menu. I wish I could just go into the Street Racing HQ and then select the summit, or select the store, or select the whatever. I take it back. I take it back. I'm sorry. I want a good, well-made open space that I have to use. That I have to actually, I want to go do the summit.
Making use of the space. Because the car meet area, like, it's a nice idea, but I think, like Test Drive, I like Test Drive. They should have kind of just gone with, you can go to a dealership to test drive that car, put the windows down, like, experience the car.
Yeah.
That, and then meeting other people doing the same thing. That's some big memories I had from Test Drive, is going to the dealership with my friend, because I'd saved up enough money to go and buy this car, and we both, like, check out the car at the location, like, walk around it, see other people buying their, like, Ferraris in the background. Like, that was super cool. But the car meet, I just don't get it.
Like,
there's not much point for it. There's no point for it to exist.
One thing I will say is, why are racing games so afraid of voice chats? Because imagine this, and then you chuck in, like, some NPCs and whatnot, like groups of NPCs, But then you just hear two fellas talking about a car, some car that they're standing around talking to whatever about, right? Like an actual calming atmosphere. I know it's probably because the controversy that can come from it, you know, people saying stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Moderation.
Like, you could spawn in there, and some people are
COD
playing
lobbies are
something
still
they
COD
should-
lobbies, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more, like, all voice chats are recorded these days.
Yeah.
You can get someone banned super easily because it's all saved. They know what you said.
Yeah.
I'm sure it just translates it to text, and if it gets picked up and you said a
yeah.
certain word, they'll watch over it and ban you pretty easily if that was the case. So they could very much do something like that. I wonder if it's really complicated because of the drop in, drop out, and also if you're having a conversation with someone and the drop in, drop, and they just disappear.
Yeah, oh true. Yeah.
That would be like a really awful experience.
But I think about the crew
I
one.
get it, because
yeah.
you know, something that bothers me is the obviously the way to interact is through the interaction menu that they have, and it's the faces. The little smiley face that looks like Sackboy from Little Big Planet. I never understood why it looks like Sackboy from Little Big Planet.
What's this?
It's just in the crew when you know the smiley faces, the like heart face, and things like that.
Yes, the emotes, yeah.
They look like
Yeah,
Little
I
Big
get what you
Planet
mean.
Sackboy.
Yeah, I get what you mean. They got that weird like, they got the Sackboy jawline. Yeah.
Found it super interesting, but one thing I liked in Say Need to Win Unbound, they had an emote where it's got like a countdown. It just does a countdown to 3, 2, 1, go. Then you can like impromptu drag race with people.
Yeah.
Just kind of more interactions like that would be better for sure, because you could be like, want a race? Like, where's that? Where's that want a race? But they know that you can't.
Well, they got rid of that. That was in the crew too. There was a whole menu of that, like turn left, turn right, go forward, follow me, want a race. What they didn't have was sorry. They never added sorry. So I'd ram into someone in PvP, and I'd be like, I don't want them to think I'm terrible. I want to say sorry now. But they never added sorry.
And then I used the crying.
I used the sad.
To, like,
yeah.
But the sad, the actual crying one is like crying laughing or something, and I'm like, do they understand that I'm not actually? I'm trying to tell you I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like, there's better ways they could do it, and there's things like that are all over the game. Like Demo Royale. God, please update Demo Royale. I swear, please. That mode is good.
That is deprived. It needs more love.
It's so... if you actually play it, like, with your mates and you're having a laugh, it's actually so well done for a car battle royale. It bodies Forza's by miles.
Oh, the Forza one is rubbish. Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't scrapped that yet. Like, I doubt that'll be in the next one. But, it's so well done. But one thing I was thinking about earlier, but I was going to mention, forgot to, is that while playing the crew one, because I started replaying it, I'm going to be smart about it. I've been replaying it, and then I'm going to upload those videos after the game shut down. But I started replaying it, and one big thing I noticed is there is progression. Like, you start in Chicago, and you have to drive to New York if you want to go to New York. Or you can use the train system or the plane system. There's progression. You actually feel like it makes it like, so when you go to New York for the first time, it's not just like, oh, I've already done like 5 races here. It's like, whoa, that's a different set of cities and buildings. Yep. And then you go to Miami and it's like, oh, whoa, this is a completely different set of cities and buildings. And then you go wherever. And it's gone.
I get the... So one of the... I understood the reduction in terms of the map. I think they did a much better... I'm sure you understand. The density of the map is much better than it was previously.
The quality is levels.
The quality... They've done a really good job. What you're saying is, to me, this is unfortunately the Forzification of racing games in general.
Yeah.
They see that people really love the constant rewards that you get from Forza, and that wasn't the case in the first Forza game. If you played the first Forza Horizon, it's good. The progression is good. You're driving around in like a little Volkswagen for most of the beginning of the game. If you haven't tried it, you definitely should check it out, like a 360 emulator or whatever. But it holds up really well. If anything, I think the handling is better than it is now as well.
Oh, yeah.
like in every kind of aspect, other than you can't drive across a field, but it's debatable whether that you actually want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And since then, it's just kind of reduced and reduced to the point where they throw things at you. And as much as I appreciate the idea behind the car import stuff in Motorfest, I think that damaged it.
Yeah. I don't want to go on the
Because
game. Like, I don't care. Besides certain stuff.
I would not have cared if I had to unlock stuff again.
Yeah.
Didn't really bother me.
Well, that's how any game is.
Because I just assumed that I'll jump in and I'll have to unlock my favorite cars again. But once I get those, they're my favorite cars. I'm gonna use those cars because most people, I highly doubt, except where they're picking the new meta car or whatever. But most people that play the game, they get to the point where they've saved enough money for their favorite car, their dream car.
Yeah.
They buy it and they mostly use that throughout the whole game.
Yep.
But I think the car import kind of ruined it. I get it. I know why they did it because people can pay real money for these cars and they would feel kind of robbed if they couldn't keep using those cars they put the time and effort into, especially like the fact that you have to grind out these stupid parts.
Yeah.
As much as like I love the game of grinding out stuff, but the effort they put into those cars would be completely gone if the car import stuff was just non-existent.
Yeah.
To every level. But it does make me kind of think how the game would have been different if that import system wasn't there. I would still be trying to grind out a lot more cars.
Yeah.
But I get it. I get why they did it. I think maybe a route for the future would probably be to reduce this and not do it into the level they did before, but do it just like the summit reward cars or just the special kind of cars.
Yeah.
And the base cars you have to get again. That might be the best way to do it.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I wish there was an option just to import exclusive cars. I would have, and that's the one I would have done. The amount of videos I could have gotten of an actual progression, people checking it. Oh, that's how many cars he owns now. Okay, buying like 10 more cars and 10 more cars per episode. Like, I wish that was a thing, because that's one of the main things that made sense to me, where I was like, okay, people will want their summit cars. That's where I think the line should have probably been drawn.
Do you think, so obviously the biggest game of next year, GTA 6.
Yes.
No question. When it comes to the online, do you think Rockstar will even consider the idea of importing your profile from the previous game?
They would have to have tripled the content in the game to consider it. Like, that's the major thing, is that people transfer their cars, and then there's only like 11 new cars you can actually... Okay, I guess there was like close to 100. Or like, I think it was like 60 was the final number. But there's only like 60 or something new cars out of 600, right? It's like Rockstar would have to triple it, so even if you import, you still feel like you've got nothing. Like, that's what you need.
I don't think they're going to do it for numerous reasons, but the economy in GTA is awful. It is the worst gaming. So if anything, I kind of don't want them to bring that across, because if they want to redo the economy in GTA 6 and like start again, like cars, a Porsche, whatever, a normal car in the game should not cost $5 million. It just doesn't make any sense. So if they need to redo the economy, which I'm pretty damn sure they're going to, you cannot allow an import process, because people will just go back to the old game and then they'll buy it in that game, and then it doesn't make sense. And I don't want my character to move across. On a personal level, I don't want that, because I want a new game. If I'm not making content on it, I wouldn't. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't transfer. Not a chance. Yeah. Yeah. I don't see it happening, and because ultimately they're gonna make more money if they don't allow the import process. Yeah. Consider this as well, right? Crew 1 shut down. Right? People are losing everything they had in that game. It's a lot easier to shut a game down if they're like, hey fellas, it's the Crew 5. Remember those cars you bought in the Crew 2? You still got them. So you don't mind if we shut down the Crew 2, right? I can even see it. I can see it being like, hey, don't worry.
all those cars you imported still come over. Hey, even if you've not imported your cars yet, don't worry, they'll still import. So Crew 2 might be gone, but all of your cars are still here if you buy the new game. Think about it. It adds up. And it sucks, but it adds up.
It does, and I hate it.
Right?
I hate it. One thing, I like starting over.
Yeah.
I like a fresh slate. Content or no content, I personally would. There's always a defining moment in a game for me where I unlock a skyline.
Yeah.
I'm like, I finally got here. We got, I was gonna say, what, 50,000, but let's say realistic, 150,000.
Yeah.
Now I can buy my skyline again, and I'm like, like that's the defining moment for everything. But now that I can import my cars in Motorfest,
yeah,
I haven't touched the sky. I don't think I've driven the skyline once.
Yeah.
Once. My one, maybe I'm gonna, maybe
I was gonna
I'll
say
change
you're gonna get to win
But-
your skyline soon.
Do you know, I was kind of discussing with them.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what you get the reward for.
Yeah.
But if it's a Summit car,
Yeah.
can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's okay. It's a cool car,
Yes.
and I think a lot of people are gonna want it. What happens if that month I tank on the Summit and I don't get
That would be
my
very
own
funny.
car?
Of
I
all
don't think
the
I would ever. I
cars
would
to miss.
demand them to add that.
Imagine the Wi-Fi's down that week. There's renovations going on. You can't manage to get on. Everyone's busy. They can't go on your account, and you don't own the BlackPanthaa skyline.
I don't know how I would process that. I
No.
really.
One
So,
thing, yeah.
Please, if you're watching, don't unlock my car. I want it.
One thing I did say, and I've been pitching this to them for ages, right? And they went above and beyond and have done this because new game. But one thing they could have done for like 1 billion years is, with anyone as well, creator bundles. So it's literally just like, go to you, me, even AR12 if they want to, go to Goosiest, go to anyone, and just go, hey, make a car in the game, 4 vanities, and make that car. And then just be like, or even give them like a test build with every vanity and every car, right? If it's like Goosiest doesn't really have much, right? Go on, they make a car, limit of 4 vanities, customization, livery, and then slap
That's a good
that in.
idea.
Be like, hey, BlackPanthaa bundle. Then you get a video being like, hey, go buy the bundle. And then they get microtransaction. And then everything goes and does the whatever.
It's a good idea. It's a really good idea. They should definitely do it.
You'll
They
get
should
that with
definitely
the summit. I imagine you're gonna have a fun video with my car or I'm in Motorfest.
I'm ready. I'm so
I tell you what,
excited,
I'm envious. I'm definitely envious. It's a sick thing to be able to. You're canon. You're canon in Motorfest.
That's great. I mean, yeah. I never thought anything like that would ever happen.
Yeah.
Ever.
But very, very sick thing. I pitch a bunch of things to him. I'll tell you what, I wrote a 29-page goddamn PowerPoint slide thing, just being like, hey, can you fix the game, please? Can you make playlists better, please? The big thing that sucks is that I kind of like the idea of playlists, but it's like, it's just there needs to be more of them. But not to just be a crew podcast. There's been big stuff going on with other games. Need for Speed has come back from the dead. Seemingly, there was a little point in time where I was like, oh, they're not updating this anymore because of some specific news that dropped was with the Criterion team. So yeah, take your experience away from that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw my video. I was very, very, very angry.
I can imagine. Yeah.
When I heard the news that Criterion were mostly being moved to Battlefield again. Again, this is
it's the
very
second
important.
Need for
It's the
Speed
second
studio
time.
that's been
Well, so it was Criterion. So they
because they had to take a year off development because they got shifted to Need for Speed. Yeah.
Battlefield. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
So
Battlefield. Yeah.
what's more kind of infuriating is I don't know if you've been reading up on the news on Battlefield, but they are not. It's not going well for Battlefield. They completely closed one of their studios that was
Wow.
working on the narrative Battlefield.
No.
Um, and so most of Criterion is now working on Battlefield exclusively.
Yeah.
Um, Criterion is now the lead in narrative Battlefield.
Yeah. I don't know how much of a narrative an online shooter has, but yeah.
Well, I think that was the big thing is the new Battlefield didn't have a single player kind of campaign,
Ah. Okay. Yeah.
which was one of the big problems. And even Call of Duty dropped the campaign for a little bit, and they even brought it back. So
Yeah.
it shows that it really did affect playtime or maybe purchases with the series. And so Battlefield after them decided to do the same thing, which makes no sense because they by the time they did that, they brought back the campaign to Battlefield.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went in like super just kind of worried about what it meant for Need for Speed. If they're now a small team,
Mm.
can they make a damn game?
Yeah.
Do they have enough people to make a damn game? And I guess clearly the answer is no. But
Yeah.
in that, we are now getting another year of updates for Unbound, which I think
Yes.
is good because it didn't hit in the way that they had hoped. Obviously, gaming is in a weird space. It's quite complicated in that it takes so long to make a game and so many people, so much money. By the time it comes out, will it hit in the way that they had planned? Like,
Yeah.
are they too late? Are they too early? Like, what is it with that? But I think this is the way I describe it is it's the best of a shitty situation.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
the updates again. I've went and gave feedback on these updates. I can say that thankfully.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
I went and gave feedback on the updates and the future of like what Need for Speed should be and like are they on the right track of Need for Speed as a whole. And I'm pleased to say I went out much happier than I've probably been in years for Need for Speed.
Yeah.
And even though it's kind of in like overall a pretty shitty situation,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're doing a really, really good job here. Like the big thing, the first update that's now out, that is a dedicated PvP mode.
Yeah.
That means people can jump in, start playing, start racing, go. Which it kind of needed. Like it's been in the game in the past, but now it's here, built again, and it's how it should have been. And I think the way the game was set up, so you go into multiplayer free roam.
Yes.
And you try and I want to do an S-class race. I start an S-class race. Even I struggled to get people to join.
Well, it only adds the people in your 16-player lobby.
And people got confused by that and didn't really understand how it worked because it is a bit of a stupid idea.
Yeah,
it should surely
absolutely
pull you in with the whole game.
Yeah.
But that's what this fixes. And that's a huge part because now you can just get in and do what you want to do. And then beyond this, the whole idea is building on top of building features that they can build on top of in the future and create just huge things if people receive them well.
Yeah.
And that's really important because I feel like a lot of games will spend years creating something and then again it's too late or it doesn't hit right and they've wasted that time when instead what they could do is drop little things, drag racing here, drifting here, just drag tires maybe and see how players interact with it and how do more people want more of it. Well, you can see based on they're playing it. It's such a simple concept of
yeah.
Let's not spend a year making something. Let's spend a couple of months making something and trying it out. Do people like it? Then we do more of it. And then do they like that? Then we do more of it. Adapting based on what people are doing, not just throwing something out there and going, I really hope they like it.
I want to say the Crew 2 did a bit of the same with the Motorfest.
Yeah.
It was like, American Legends, all right, okay, we'll do another one of that. Speed Tour, people like that, okay, we'll bloody do another one of that.
The big one I think about for the Crew was they did the Destruction Derby stuff.
Yes.
And so they did that. I wouldn't say that's small because that's a lot of effort, but
Yeah.
the mechanics in itself introduced destructible cars,
Yeah.
health system for specific cars, and then they took that and then they put it into the police chase update
Yeah.
because you can now take down things.
The
It helps
really
you
good
build.
repurposing. Yeah.
Repurposing stuff like that is so important
Yes.
for racing games, especially when again the top racing game in terms of players and in terms of accessibility is Forza, in where they do not try anything, and it
Yeah.
burns people out because they don't put the time to kind of create new types of gameplay. They've had the same gameplay loop and formula since Horizon 2.
Mm.
It hasn't changed, and that is a big issue in my opinion in terms of these other games really need to try and mix up the gameplay. They need to do more stuff. It's really important.
That's what I'm kind of annoying to bring it back to Motorfest again, but that's what I'm kind of worried about with Motorfest is that the playlists feel too sanitized and specific. It's that it's every playlist is events, photo op, whatever, skills, whatever, and then that's it. That's a playlist. And it's just like, yeah, it's that same thing that you mentioned that Need for Speed's sort of, you know, with the drift and the drag and actually chucking in new stuff and fresh stuff. Where it's like, it feels like we're not going to get anything new gameplay-wise in Motorfest. And that's really worrying. Like, sure, we'll get the events, but I'm like, what if one playlist, the skills, in some weird way, are stories instead, like from American Legends? Or like, what if, like, you can still do it with the playlists, right? One thing that I want them to add is like a modifier for a playlist when they have the series ones, have a bracket one where one's like a training event, but every other race is in the format of a bracket. And you get 30k for each win, stored, then you lose, you get that money paid out. And then
Also,
that's...
I agree. They need to mix up the gameplay. And that's something that I keep always saying is all these games keep adding new cars. It's nice. Again, as a YouTuber, fine. It gets me like, I can click through. I can get good click through because people want to see the new car. They want to see what it's like before they purchase it in the game or something like that. And that's cool, great. But for me to say, I personally couldn't give a damn about another McLaren or another something or other. I don't care.
Yeah.
What I want is gameplay around that.
Yes.
So what's interesting to me is when, for example, Motorfest comes out and they're like, oh yeah, this is like the first electric supercar we're adding to the game. And it's like, oh, how does that play different? Because I'm like, it at least adds some different kind of characteristic elements to the game in where I'm going to try and like exploit to see what I can do with it. What's different about this? That's really cool. But yeah, in general, I don't like the whole speed pass thing in Need for Speed. I don't like that system in general. But what I do like is it makes you play the game to get the vehicle and then play the game to get some extra parts for the it feels rewarding, whereas other games don't actually tend to feel that rewarding. Because you go on the crew, you've got the money. You don't even have to think about, do I have enough money to buy this car? You don't even have to worry about that, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. And how kind of easy it is to just go for it. But one kind of related note about the Crew 2 kind of ending its life. In terms of the updates, what do you think that team's now going to be working on?
I mean, I would hope, I would hope that they then, come over to Motorfest and do a bunch of whatevers. And where my thinking is that the Crew 2's update is the least cars we've ever gotten in an update. Simultaneously, this update is the most cars we've ever gotten in an update. So what I'm hoping is already they were shuffling it over.
One thing that kind of made me think of is, do you think this was the rough wanted release date for the Crew Motorfest and it was pushed out early? Or do you think they planned this crossover? I
think that they were all... Well, see, the way I picture it, and I might be wrong, is the way I picture it is they're just working on the Crew 2 as usual. I mean, they bought a whole extra building, right? Not too long ago. Like, the Crew 2 team, pretty big team, they're working on the Crew 2 as usual, doing whatever, planning an update. Guy bursts into the room, goes, guys, we finished Motorfest! And then it just instantly went, all right, well, we got to chuck this stuff out that we were working on.
Yeah. So what I don't understand is why there was the delay between cars and stuff. That's the bit that confused me.
Yeah.
Why? Like, a 3-month delay between the cars, between games, doesn't really make sense. Because cars are... They're just cars. Like, they surely should...
Exactly,
because the updates are very close together. There's, like, a week difference. So that would be fine.
Yeah.
Because if the Crew 2 update comes out a week before, the cars are in it, and the cars come next week to Motorfest, fine. I have no issue with it.
Yeah.
3 months is kind of insane when you think about it. But what it made me think of is, do you think, because obviously now the kind of two separate teams, Crew 2 and Motorfest, do you think that maybe, considering how long it took to make this game, that instead of jumping to Motorfest, or maybe after maybe a couple of months, that team is now going to be working on the Crew 3.
Yeah, I asked them in the dev interview, I was like, hey, how long have you been working on Motorfest? And they said 5 years. How many years have the Crew 2 been out by that point? Oh, 5 years? Oh, would you look at that? Would you? Because one thing you'd really notice in the Crew 2 is they always picked the lazier option for any fix. Like, oh, you get too many parts for... you don't get enough parts because there's not enough events in a spec? Add more events... Add a race creator where people's events get added to the game. Go in the back end and just make number big. Make it so that number bigger. So they get more parts, actually. Done. There you go. Like, and that always reeked of they're working on the next game.
One thing that bothers me is the last 2 games. So, well, not the last 2, but the Crew 1 and the Crew 2 both got an update for the race route creator. Why are you doing this? Can you please just incorporate it from go? If you know, because the whole idea now is that they can use user-generated content to keep the game fresh, which is awesome because it's something I've been telling Forza to do forever because they don't do it. The people that make events in Forza, the community, they do a better job than Forza themselves.
Yeah, insane.
So put that on the front page.
The thing is as well.
So
yeah.
I don't. It kind of bothers me that they build this big feature for the Crew 2, and it's not there in Motorfest. Why is it just not there? If you built this damn tool, and the Crew Motorfest is basically the Crew 2, then why not bring that across?
With the format of the Crew Motorfest as well, it's like it lends itself so well to invoke the name, to what's currently going on with Roblox / Fortnite. Like, imagine if they gave us enough tools to make and connect multiple events and assets and whatnot, and then, sure, you got all the official playlists, you scroll down, community playlists, and it's trending playlists that people have made.
All their assets that they have made for, like, the drift events and the race events that spawn in, like, props.
Yeah.
Why can we not create our own events with those? There's so many things I'm like, we could just make this really sick drift event that's in the sky in the city.
Yeah.
They did it themselves. But I'm like, I could do it between buildings, and you can see the buildings.
Like a
and then
race
you log
event.
into the game, and a community member has made that.
Yeah.
You don't have to make it. You've just saved yourself dev money and time.
Like, it's a whole playlist of like touring cars, but in like a through the city lifted up tracks, right?
Yeah.
Like, and someone will do that for you, right? Sure, maybe they don't have to go as in depth in Fortnite, because God, if it was like Fortnite, adding voice lines, adding cutscenes, adding everything, God, that would be bliss. Because the race creator in the Crew 2 is so whatever.
It's very basic. I mean, I appreciate that it's there, but I really don't understand why we can't get it earlier when it's more important.
Yeah.
It's more important earlier than it is later.
So, if it's not licenses, when it comes to cars, if it's not licenses, I would argue that the reason we haven't gotten it earlier is the same reason we don't get cars at the same time in both games. So that they can do, oh my God, look, new car in the Crew 2. Oh my god, look, new car in the crew Motorfest. That's it. And then all of a sudden, if people even really cared when they were added to Motorfest, they get 2 SidWaj videos out of it. They get 2 BlackPanthaa videos out of it. They get 2 whatever other militia gaming community, anyone, videos out of it. Because it's been added to the game twice. So then we will get a race creator update.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks, though. It sucks. But
it does. But
not...
I kind of leaning on the thought that maybe they're going to be bringing this team onto the next game, or maybe they switch and the old team starts working on updates, because that's what they've been doing for the crew too. So they're kind of they're pretty good at it. So they now work on the updates for Motorfest, and the other team starts working on the next game, because again, it's pushing on a year. They got to get going soon. If not, like, you know.
Well, since like 2 years before Motorfest, they have, oh my god, happen to have been hiring a bunch of people who work on Snowdrop and work on Scalar, the Ubisoft version of the technology from Flight Simulator, meaning probably a return to a big map with actual detail for one, and promising. But speaking of promising, the Need for Speed updates, I will say, from my perspective, they look great. I didn't crazy gel with this first one, but I'm looking forward to the drift drag, all of those, especially Hot Pursuit. That one sounds brilliant. Not to invoke some rage, only Need for Speed I played growing up, loved it. My favorite older Need for Speed, because it's the only older
it's fine.
Need for Speed.
You would just deprive from the good ones.
That's what we'll consider it. But speaking of whatever I said, hopeful, summon, Test Drive Unlimited. I mean, I watched your video on it, on the latest trailer. You were very optimistic. Comparatively speaking to the rest of the internet, I suppose. You were so. What's your take on the state of Test Drive?
So here's my thing. Yes. I am more compassionate than the internet.
yes, yeah.
And I don't think that's very difficult, to be honest with you. No. But I get it. I get it. The whole, you're a shill because you're supporting the game, and it looks mid, and I've always gotten that. With everything I could possibly, and the difference only comes down to, do the mass majority get excited about this, or do the mass majority hate this? And if the mass majority hates it, they'll be like, you're a shill. Yeah. And the mass majority are excited. Oh my god, I'm excited as well. This looks like the best thing ever. This one is the most split I think I have seen of the games. There are people that genuinely excited about it, and I'm excited for it as well. I wouldn't say I'm Need for Speed excited. I wouldn't say I'm GTA 6 excited. But I think something people lack is the ability to compare and contrast in that. So this game, they have not got the previous test drives to build on. That's the first point. Forza Horizon 5 is only Forza Horizon 5 because they had 4 other games before it building up to that point.
But they're built from the ground up. What? You're telling me they're not built from the ground up?
No, they are not.
Carry on.
Even the crew didn't start from nothing. The starting from nothing thing is the biggest reason we don't have as many IPs anymore, because it's so expensive. And it's quite frankly impossible.
That's why everything's a sequel
in this day and age to have instant AAA money. You don't get that anymore. That's why we have less creative racing games. Like, you remember the time of like Blur and Driver, and there was so many different like MotorStorm, so many varied IPs to do with racing. Now we've slimmed down to Car on Road Festival. And it's sad.
Insert celebrity.
Games are just more expensive, and racing games in particular, because of all the licensing rubbish that you have to put up with. They have to license cars and music. But anyway, so from what I know, most games, for example, to build a car in a game, and Test Drive put this in an article, takes them about 4 months to build one car. So that's probably per person. So they've maybe got a team of like 5 or 6 vehicle people. But you've got to think, they've got to license those cars. They've got to build those cars. They've got to test and the handling of those cars and mix it to real. So people don't consider all these things. They go look at it and they go, "Oh, it doesn't look as good as Horizon visually. It's bad." I think overall, I'm like excited, but as I said, I'm not excited I'm not expecting a AAA game.
Yeah.
It is not a AAA game. It, from what I remember, is a AA game, essentially. So the budget is never going to match anything else. But the crew was in that exact same position.
Yeah.
The crew was not big AAA budget game with the first game. They built all of this. I think from memory, at launch of the first game, they had a team of like 30 people.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And I think they've now gone from the smallest team to like the biggest racing game team that
the crew's
exists.
got 300, I believe, in total.
Yeah, which is the biggest
Yes.
car racing game team that exists.
Yeah.
But a lot of people jumped in on the Crew 2 or Motorfest. They're new to the franchise, and they didn't see the Crew 1 was rough around the edges, but they threw everything at that game. But comparatively, the graphics weren't great compared to some other games. The handling wasn't great compared to some other games. There were so many glitches and bugs that cars just flying into the air. I'm sure that was even a thing in the Crew 2 still.
Yeah.
They did not have the money or manpower to create an equal like Forza Horizon or Need for Speed game, but they did their best. Like they did the best that they possibly could with the constraints. And that I think is where Test Drive is. It's in a weird one in that people have played because this is not even a new IP, but people look at Test Drive Unlimited 1, Test Drive Unlimited 2, and they go, "Oh, this doesn't look as good as those games."
Yeah.
Or at least it looks better, obviously, comparatively, but based on what they remember the game looking like at that time, like nostalgia and all that, this game doesn't look as good as that game. But this is the first one.
Yeah.
This is a new team headed up by the heads of the previous ones. They know the direction that it's supposed to go in. I don't know what they could possibly do to make people go, "This is the best thing ever."
Yeah.
And I don't think they ever will. And you've got to kind of sometimes be like, okay, but all this, does it matter? Am I still going to play the game? Am I still going to have fun with the game? Yes. So I'm excited for the game. I don't have to be as excited as I am for GTA 6, but I'm looking forward to it.
I think because of the internet, we're in a very weird era where it's cringe and bad and never let it be seen of being bad, of learning, of developing. It's you know, if you're not at the top of your game as you're doing something, it's immediately we're in that kind of era where it's like, oh, you are passionate about something? Ew. It's that kind
like,
of
what with that last trailer.
Yeah.
That is like most people are more negative than they've been thus far, and I think the main problem that people had was that they were expecting a release date. So I was too.
Yeah.
And they didn't get one. And that's fine, but we've figured out from time and time that this has happened that rushed games are a terrible, terrible thing.
Yeah.
And it's not good. And we don't want that. We want them to have as much time as possible in the oven so they can come out perfect. And a lot of people still get that, but I get being disappointed that there wasn't a release date announced. They've been working on this game for so long. They announced it too early, but the thing is, for example, I spoke to Alex about this. Test Drive Unlimited 2, like actual numbers, what it sold was 2 million copies.
Yeah.
That is nothing.
Yeah.
That is absolutely nothing in the scheme of things. That game still got updates. The game still got like a DLC. They're not expecting to sell 20 million copies of this game. This is the foundation.
Yeah.
This is the beginning point for them. This game is going to be improved upon. Now, I will say, and I was negative in the video about this as well, and I might not get any more early access to their trailer footage.
Sure.
The Always Online, we've just been
I talked
stung
about
by
that
the
as well.
crew.
Yeah, yeah.
There's I can't excuse it anymore. I used to be like, okay, well look, Gran Turismo Sport just released an offline patch. Maybe everyone else will do that as well. You look at it and like, oh, I get it for sport. Gran Turismo Sport, it was FIA kind of administrated. They were watching over the times. The times needed to be accurate. There could have been cheating. So if there was cheating in that game and they had a big event, they can't invite the cheater to the event because it's just going to ruin it.
Yeah.
But after that, they release a patch. And now I know for Gran Turismo 7, I'm not worried that I'm going to lose everything when the servers go down because they're going to do an offline patch. I don't think it should be always online, but as long as they're doing that, fine. But Test Drive coming out after all of this stuff recently with the crew is like, that's not great. We know that games don't need to have online connect. There's no possible ever need for it to require an online connection.
The sad thing is that they're baking it into the game, right? With if you go into a race, it will mandatorily, and I've heard the claim where it's like, they can just remove this. Doesn't mean it's good right now. Mandatorily will search for people to put in your race, which is just, and the always online, it just like, when I first saw the driving around of the game, I was like, this looks like a great game to mod. That looks like a great base game, and that, chuck in any car you want, maybe buff the graphics a little bit, that looks like a great game to mod. That's down the drain. Wanting to do a race on your own, that's down the drain.
The big problem they have is they're going for this simcade handling. So I know a lot of people say Forza Horizon has simcade handling. Their idea is to kind of actually simcade handling. Forza Horizon is arcade handling.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
just kind of leaning more simulation than like Need for Speed does.
Yeah.
But their want to do this is to make it a proper competitive game, and that's the whole point of the putting people into races with other people is like, we want that competitive thing, and in that you want it to be fair. And if they do crossplay, you definitely need it to be fair. Because I was thinking, just because with a friend the other day, GTA 6 is probably not going to have crossplay because look at the state of GTA Online on PC.
Yeah,
it is bad.
Yeah,
it is bad, and people just mod money, steal like IP addresses.
They'd have to address that as the issue if they.
Yeah. They could. I don't think they can. I think that's Rockstar struggling with that.
Well, that's where the crew got screwed as well, right? With the wheel mode. Biggest issue with wheel mode, PlayStation and Xbox players can't use it, but they're playing together, you know?
So I think I could comprehend why that you would follow that path.
Yeah.
But there is still no reason for it to require.
Yeah, it's the requirement.
Online.
Yeah.
It's the requirement that messes it up because Test Drive Unlimited 1 and 2, they had multiplayer drop in, drop out.
Yeah.
And if you lost connection, because I definitely did playing that game, the servers were not stable at launch. I could still play and progress in the game.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the crew servers are pretty like strong and stable.
If you're on your own.
But if you're on your own.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a time that comes where again that's inaccessible, and it's painful and infuriating. Like they don't want us to own the game we paid money for, and that really bothers me. It really, really bothers me because I just don't get it. Why do you want to waste all that time and talent
for them to have nothing to show in like 10 years? Like
if you know YouTube said, okay, what we're gonna do is every 3 years we're gonna delete your old videos.
Yeah.
I'm probably finding a new job, to be honest. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I would feel kind of like, what is the point of this? And as someone that's putting the time in to be creative like this, I'm gonna host them somewhere else or something.
Imagine.
As well as YouTube, we're gonna move to a different platform.
Imagine making a movie and your cassette, you put it in. And it just doesn't work one day. Yeah. It's just like, oh, well, that's...
the connection lost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, imagine. And it's like, that's something I spent time on. That's something I went into work and did every day. And that's something that I can't even physically... Like, it's gone. What? And it's worrying.
That's the big sour point for me with Test Drive now is that I'm still going to play it. But the thing is, I don't know how much time I'll put in.
Yeah.
Like, as I said with Motorfest earlier, I kind of reduced my time because I'm kind of worried that my effort is gonna be
Yeah.
thrown away. It's just kind of sad because it feels very old school. Because 2015 EA did it with Need for Speed,
Yeah.
and since then they have not done it. Need for Speed. This is big bad EA.
Yeah.
Big bad EA
Yeah.
has the least microtransactions, the least like DLC stuff.
Even Forza's got
compared to any
microtransaction
of the
now.
games.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Big bad EA is the good guy.
Yeah, yeah. It's I mean the crew, I don't know if you saw, we're getting a starter pack, a £16 paid only car. Forza just got the car
All the
tokens.
DLC packs, yeah.
Yeah,
And
the
the car
DLC pack
tokens,
car
yeah.
token. Yeah, I got that. A very, oh well, it's not actually microtransaction, and EA is, well. Then again, they did put the RS6 behind the paywall or whatever, which is, I think
Yes.
everyone's doing a bit of, everyone's got their fingers in some pies, but it's gonna be interesting what Test Drive does in that regard. Because the thing is, the competitive racing, that seems a bit out of left field for Test Drive.
That's what I mean. I am, so I keep reiterating this to every publisher or I am here to play games.
Yeah.
I am not here to sweat and play like iRacing.
Yeah.
And even them, it's £13 a month and you have to buy every car with real money.
Yeah, yeah.
I have not and will never support iRacing because of that. But I don't care about being 1 second fast. I don't care. I like car go fast. I get reward. Nice. The only reason I like racing games is for the cars, not to race them. I don't actually care. I would rather do more fun game modes. I miss the ones from the Crew 1 where it was like King and Crown or whatever it was.
I talk about that so much. They need them back.
Those games are so much more fun to me than you want to race.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't care. The only reason I care about winning a race is because, I get money, I can buy more cars.
That's why I enjoy Demo Royale so much. It's like, that's a fun mode. That's all it is. It's just a fun mode. Like,
so them going the route of, like, we're going hard. They've got wet tires that you have to equip.
yeah.
Otherwise, you'll lose traction control when you're driving. I don't know. As much. I did play it, and of course, I played an earlier version of it, but I enjoyed it. It was again simcade, but you could definitely tell they were trying to put more like realistic elements onto it, and I don't know how I feel about that, but I haven't had long with the game. I want to go, and ultimately, the biggest thing that I loved about Test Drive Unlimited 2 was driving with friends, cruising with friends, and then going off and exploring, because that is the game that does it best.
Yes.
So it's, in the trailer, when they showed that you can do the car kind of finds, the rusted out car
300
finds,
collectibles as well.
that interests me.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I feel like one thing that Motorfest lacked is exploration. There's
100%.
no incentive to really explore.
Yeah.
The explore category isn't really about exploring.
It's about skills.
It's doing the skills. So
Yeah.
I don't really understand that. I get that they struggled in that the map is much smaller. Like,
Yes.
we can't. But I remember in the Crew 1 and 2, finding like Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. Just going off with some mates, finding Bigfoot is hilarious. And then I remember looking at using the photo mode on some of the coasts and seeing like people spawned on an island, and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But the exploration is just so much fun, and I feel like if they don't get that right on Test Drive, then that to me is not it. But I'm happy that they have the dealerships. You go to the dealerships, you go into the dealerships, you go and look at the car, sit in the car, bring the windows down. They've got that. That's Test Drive to me. As long as they have that, and the multiplayer, and the ability to cruise with friends, that's all I need to enjoy a Test Drive game. I'm not expecting Need for Speed customization. It doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Test Drive is about stupid hypercars that you will never, ever, ever be able to afford, but like it has a feel of like, wow, this feels great.
So I never played Test Drive growing up, but, well, actually, to be fair, I've never played it full stop. But that's what it, like, even I could tell, I was like, that's what feels like Test Drive to me. And I might be wrong. It's Test Drive boiled down to it. It feels like a role-playing game, if anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
my video on it for Test Drive Limited 2, one of my most popular ones, was Rich Knob Simulator.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's what it should be.
Yeah.
And people are expecting it to be, oh, Horizon looks better. Oh, this looks better.
Yeah.
It's a completely like different feel. And Forza went after almost what Test Drive was, but then they've not done it well. The driving schools, the going to the dealerships, the just going for cruising, putting your indicators on and like role playing normal driving. That's what Test Drive is, and I think they've achieved that from what we've seen. And so anything else, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm still going to enjoy my experience with it. And considering they're going to be building upon what it is, that makes me excited too, because if the game does well, and they're probably going to monetize it in some way because they need to make money, that means we're going to get more content, more updates, more stuff.
Yeah.
As they go. So maybe a whole new dealership pops up and everyone is there to check out this new dealership.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing to me.
Like I think they could do with, because they got Streets and Shops. I think maybe, not a backseat developer, I think they could do with a third one that is racing focused. So there is sort of a separation between, because I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, but then they got the competitive racing. Maybe you want to roleplay as Max Verstappen. Maybe you want to roleplay as yeah, sure, you go out and buy car and whatever, but you buy car specifically to race, right? But then that would butt heads with the rich knob simulating, the sort of the whatever the Streets is supposed to be. I
feel
guess.
like that's what they wanted to do with the Crew, but of course they spread it a bit. The Crew 2, but they spread it a bit thin, because like with they almost already had the playlists idea.
Yeah.
In that they split all those categories up, but it's yeah. I'm excited about Test Drive. I'm looking forward to it. I understand why people are skeptical. Games are expensive.
Yes.
And it being always online is kind of a gut punch.
Definitely.
But I'm still believing in it. I'm not expecting. I think people's expectations are just overblown. I'm expecting a AA game, just like Test Drive was at the time. It wasn't perfect. The handling was rubbish. The handling was really, really bad. But the experience of Test Drive and what it was, and to cruise with friends and stuff, and in this beautiful tropical location. I think that's one thing that's interesting is I saw so much more hype around Motorfest and the Crew 2 just because of how tropical it looked.
Yeah.
People loved how tropical that's properly interesting.
I mean, it's not convenient to live somewhere tropical in this economy.
Yeah,
You want to do it.
But then you think, all right, Need for Speed, quite dull looking. Test Drive, quite dull looking, because they're in these dull places.
Forza's in a desert.
Yeah. And then people's favorite Forza is Horizon 3, which is Australia.
Yeah.
People really want those tropical areas, and that's such a small thing to me in the whole scheme of it, but it's very interesting overall.
I remember with Motorfest, before I could geoguess the map to like 1 millimeter at this point now, but I remember Motorfest first, fresh to it, in the Tacoma. I don't care about the Tacoma. It was just a new car. I'm in it, first person only, wheel plugged in, pitch black night. I'm like, I'm gonna go climb that mountain. And it was just that. It was, a tree, okay, making it around the tree, going up, and that. It's the exploration aspect. I hope they can do it good. And I will say, there is definitely valid criticism in the graphical capabilities of it, because it's like, the thing is, I didn't even really care. But there was flat rocks in one of the shots. There was rocks, but they were just a texture. All the other rocks were 3D. But that one section had just texture rocks. I scoured Motorfest. I scoured everywhere else. Nowhere else does them. But people were arguing at me, being like, well, it doesn't matter. And also it's this. And also it's this. And actually, Motorfest has them as well. And I'm like, well, no, it doesn't. But now people think that I care that there was flat rocks. I just found it funny when I saw it. Because I was live streaming at the time. So I'm like, flat rocks.
I think it is a big problem in that most people do really care about graphics of a game.
I understand it to a
personally,
degree.
but
Mm.
like in the way of I played The Crew 1.
Yeah,
That game did not
yeah.
look great.
Yeah,
It looks better now because they updated it, but
yeah,
it looked pretty rough before.
yeah,
But I didn't care. It's the whole of the US.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
they kind of counted it in that way, but it is unfortunate. But people, one thing that is kind of weird to me, I literally played Horizon the other day. Of course, the game is old now. It's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
out for a while, and it didn't look like top tier when it came out. There were much better looking games. I mean, if you look at like Cyberpunk
Yeah,
today, it's
yeah.
insane the mod stuff that people have been doing to that game. That it's incredible. But people always go, "Oh well, Forza looks better. Forza's graphics better." I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah,
The
that I can
game
understand. Like, so what?
it really bothers me because
Mm.
it clearly doesn't matter to the mass majority because GTA 5 is over 10 years old,
Mm.
but people still love that game and they go, "Oh my god, the graphics are so good." So what is it? Because it's not actually that. GTA 5 does not look that good.
God, if you they don't even have parallax maps. Like the buildings are just textures. There's no in the like shops and stuff. And I remember driving past that and seeing that. And my mate Josh, he's played thousands of hours of GTA, and I was like, wait, there's this low quality stuff in GTA? And he's like, yeah, it's a 2012 game. And it's but people.
But
Mm.
it's not. I don't think it's about like people say, "Oh, the graphics bad." It's kind of I don't know how to understand it in that they're seeing it kind of in a different way because I think
Yeah.
if you put them side by side, all the games, all the racing games, I think Need for Speed Unbound visually looks worlds better
I thought it looked
than
really good.
Forza Horizon.
Obviously. Yeah, yeah.
The quality of the car models is clearly more consistently better in Need for Speed, but also the actual environments and stuff in Need for Speed, like they're sharper. It's a new gen game, but people will go to Forza and say this one's better. I think I
Yeah.
think part of it might just be how bright and colorful it is.
Yeah.
Because Need for Speed is very dull, but that's what the city's supposed to be.
Mm.
But I really like I don't know.
It sucks for. I'm in such an annoying position because I joked about the flat rocks and then people were just making completely dismissive arguments and now now everyone thinks I care about flat rocks when it was just like I was like, look, I don't care, but you're completely wrong. but that's not the whatever. And I think graphics is one thing, but there was little things like no dust particles. They mentioned optimization.
Yeah.
I think one thing people are like, game's been developing for 5 years and there's not these things. That's kind of I imagine one thing. Plus, there's little things like the rubbery textures and whatnot, and I do notice them. I do think they're a thing, but then I'm like the working mirrors. I remember I joked no working mirrors for Motorfest once, and you were like, on Twitter, I think it was. I think you said.
I don't really care.
Yeah. At the end of the day, sure. Yeah. It makes sense to. I understand why people criticize it, but it's a completely separate section of criticism. Like you can be like, no mirrors in, presumably what will be 2028 game, right? And then look at the gameplay separately. I think those aren't separated enough, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can go hee flat rocks and that not affect the gameplay side of it.
Yeah. People don't figure that out. They think even my yesterday video I was complaining about Horizon.
Yeah.
And them adding just these soulless, useless cars to the game. Who is asking for an ID4 in Forza Horizon?
20th Chinese car this month. Yes.
But people don't understand that you can complain about these things and still kind of be interested in the game.
Yep. That's the biggest thing I always hear.
Have you seen the GTA community? Like, do you think anyone that plays that game religiously thinks it's flawless? No, nobody. There's just nobody out there.
Yep.
I think it's Fortnite brain.
You and Thea, Karen. It does feel like it. It does feel like it. you and Thea Karen has a whole career off of people who play Forza but say Forza bad. Like, that's the whole thing, and it works, and it's a system that, like, it's. I get that so much as well. I get like, why do you still play the game then?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. What people don't seem to understand is that you are more experienced at that thing because you like that thing.
Yeah.
You know the flaws of the crew because you play it more than most people.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can complain about it. You're complaining about it because you want it fixed to improve your enjoyment of the game. There's a big difference between just mindlessly bashing something and having somewhat of a vested interest in something to want to improve on that.
Yeah.
Like, I complain most about Need for Speed.
Yeah.
I enjoy most Need for Speed.
Do you get, because I used to vaguely say that I had this, but I get it so much more than ever before right now. Do you get where people who are outside of the space of Need for Speed for you, Crew for me, people who are outside of the space, oh my god, that's chill. People who are inside the space, God, stop complaining all the time. I get, that has been, it's hilarious to me now, because it's just like, it's because I know where someone stands the moment it's just like, oh shit, that Ubisoft shill. Like, I'm guilty. I'll search my name in servers every now and then. I'll be like, what? I wonder what people are saying. It's one of my guilty pleasures, I would say, is I'll go like, I wonder what people are saying in the Need for Speed server if I've come up anywhere, or your server, or pre-ban. Free SidWaj, tell you what. But but yeah, and I'll see, and I can tell immediately where someone stands if they're like, God, that SidWaj guy just complains all the time, or God, that SidWaj Ubisoft shill, just or whatever.
People jump, like, pick and choose based on, like, it is very, people are very picky. I have made dedicated videos, like, for example, when Need for Speed team got moved to Battlefield, I went ham on EA. I went, like, mad. I said, I will never buy a piece of shit Battlefield game ever again in my life. But you can complain about your favorite game more so than someone that doesn't enjoy the game. You know the ins and outs of it. But yeah, on the side mirrors, guys, I'm sorry, I don't care.
I wouldn't mind it. Like, I'm at a place like,
if it was Gran Turismo, I would complain about it because you need the mirrors. You need them. In the Crew, I don't need no damn mirrors. I just ram that thing off the road.
I do a lot of driving around on wheel in first person, and that's where I'm kind of like, it would be nice, but like I realize
I'm a HUD view user.
Yeah, no, lovely is the thing. That's what I use if I'm not recording for Driftwaj, which is like maybe a couple hours a month. And then every time else I realize, in fact, you're making me realize right now, I don't care. I don't use the mirrors any other second outside of, and I love it when I'm in first person, because first person may have improved so much with the 1-to-1, with the gearing animations, with everything, the mirror adjusting, arm out the window. But I am now realizing that, that's completely isolated within that section. And then when I'm doing anything else, I'm like, no, whatever.
Yeah, third person or HUD view is what I use.
HUD view.
Even in Gran Turismo, I use HUD view. I never used to understand HUD view. It kind of bothers me that I like HUD view because for videos, no one wants to see HUD view.
Yep.
People want to see third person and then first person. HUD view is like, why would you use that? But anyone that actually like wants to properly do well, HUD view.
You can see the road much better. You can see the exact angle you're taking. You can see how wide the car is. You can get right up to
Unless
the wall.
Unless you're in an SUV.
That's true. True. But
then you can't see the kids you're knocking over.
Exactly. Then it's who you rammed families who die. They die, so you're fine. Thanks to the ID4 or whatever. But my take on Test Drive, because what I've seen is that majority, and I will say, I do feel bad for the position Alex is in, because if people didn't like Motorfest, I'd be in the exact same position, like leading up to launch. But what I've seen is every single thing they've put out, people have gone, more and more people. I don't know if it's just the specific places I'm seeing, but more and more, it is that chronically online thing, I suppose, right? But those people have gone, this is my breaking point. This is the, okay, I'm not picking up again. All right, now I'm done with it. And my opinion on what they should do, and budget be damned, because that's the worst thing here, because God, if Nacon didn't sell controllers, Test Drive would have been cancelled a billion years ago. No wonder they're making them make 2 other games now while making Test Drive. But I feel like they should just go away for 2 years if it takes it. 2-3 years. Do a bunch of stuff that wasn't even planned. Finish the game. Do a bunch of extra stuff. Aren't they not launching with houses and doing that later instead? It's the hotel.
The later thing.
Yeah. Do houses. Do houses straight away. Like, optimize the game, because optimization's the big thing. That's that's why no particles. That's why rubbery textures. Do that. Do not show the game. If you want to get it to the core audience, post an article just in the Discord. But leave and make an amazing game.
That's fair. That's fair.
And then wait long enough. A year. They've taken year breaks before, is the issue. 2 years, something like that would be enough that they could come back, fully new marketing campaign. As in, like, new artwork style, right? New vibe, new format, new... I'm not saying splurge on the budget with that, because you don't need high budget to make good advertising, right? There's games like, was it Night Ride or something like that? That's a pretty small game, is it not? I might be completely
Night
wrong.
Runners.
Night Runners, that's the one. That's a pretty small game if I'm not...
It's one guy.
There you go, right? You don't need big budget to do reasonably good marketing. So yeah, just go 2 years, make an amazing game, and then you've got something to market. Because what it comes back down to often when because I talk to Alex Evan, I love having a good discussion with him back and forth about it, and it comes down to, it's like, oh well, people will always complain. People will complain that so they get stuff and they complain, and then they don't get stuff and they complain. There's 2 things it comes down to. One is a quote from a podcast, and it's related to a TV show. People wanted espionage spy stuff in Marvel. They did one. It was bad. People were like, wait, you wanted this? And they were like, hang on a minute. All right, my bad. We want it, but good. Like, we want Test Drive marketing. Yes. We want it, but good. That's the thing. And it's also the main thing about, people will always complain if there's no marketing. I would say 1,000 times over, No Man's Sky realized this, is that people actively seeing an unfinished game and making opinions on that is 10 times worse and something that can be so insanely easily disregarded is, where's the game? Where's the game? Who cares if someone's saying, where's the game?
Here's a counterpoint.
Okay.
Need for Speed Unbound.
Elaborate. Because I wasn't incredibly into that one when that was coming out.
It was announced a month before it came out.
Oh, wait, was it? I could have sworn it had more marketing than that.
It was like a couple of months.
God,
And then it was out.
I guess it was. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Motorfest did the same thing. Motorfest,
And unfortunately, that didn't go very well for them at all.
No.
So, it's definitely a balance.
Yes.
I think they did announce too early with those kind of stupid CGI trailers.
Yeah.
What is it with French studios and liking those CGI trailers? Because the crew did the same damn thing.
Yeah.
I think they used the same studio to actually create those
Got that,
CGI
like,
trailers.
and it's like a car just forming out the ground. Like, it's...
Like, okay, to be fair, I remember at the time really liking the crew one, but there gets a place, like, that's where Ubisoft stopped doing that, because the CGI trailers are kind of stupid.
That's why Motorfest played it safe. It was just driving. Like, it wasn't the YouTube stuff. It wasn't a car forming. It was just, here's some cars. They're doing a big driving.
I wonder how much that costs to form a car. Like, piece by piece, like bolt by bolt.
Yeah.
That must have been one expensive trailer.
Well, imagine how much it forms to form New York, which they also did in that trailer. Like, two separate trailers. Yeah.
I get it with Test Drive. They're in a weird position.
Yes.
I think I mean, the problem is they planned, we know, to release the end of this month, March.
Yeah.
Which by March, I think it was by the end of March.
Because it was Q1,
So
yeah.
it was Q1. So clearly that's not going to happen
Yeah,
anymore. But that's the thing. Like their marketing team is separate from the team that's actually making the game.
Yeah.
And therefore they're expecting to have, they're expecting the game to come out by this time. So let's not that this new piece of video probably wasn't planned. This was just like we kind of need to do something.
Yeah.
Because we told people it was coming out the early next year.
Yeah.
So what do you do in that situation? You got to have some kind of filler content, because you can't have the final trailer come out and say, big trailer comes out 2026.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's going to be like, GTA's still going to get its proper trailer soon, and it's going to be better than its first announced trailer. So it's a difficult one. I think ultimately people just need to just accept it, and they maybe need to reduce how much they're really showing.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say, because we're like more, show more.
It's that, but good. It's
and the big problem for me as well was that in the article they said they need to do optimizations and things like that. That's what they're working on. But the big one was they were like, oh, by the way, you need an internet connection to play this game. And one of the big tests we're doing is stress testing the servers, because we need to make sure they're stable. So you're telling me there's problems with the stability of the servers pre-launch, and you're still doubling down on always online. Like, that was like a double gut punch. Like, you can't tell us it's always online. Right now we're having problems having the servers be stable with a select, like, a couple hundred people testing the game. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, there's so many.
That's when you need like an open beta.
Yeah.
Test it out. Let people play for like one day, like a weekend.
Yeah.
Try it out. It works as a demo, and it's free, so people might be like, "Oh, I've never heard of this game. Let me try it out," and then pull it and be like, "You can play it. This is the release date." After they've done that, that would probably be the best way to do it, and that's how you properly stress test your servers.
Yeah.
Because testing with a closed test group is not very helpful at all.
I mean, it's interesting because Motorfest did some similar things, right? They did, when they were testing, they told us in an article, they were like, hey, so Rally Raid was bad. We fixed it though. And like, that was nice to see. But then to go, hey, we're making the game always online. It doesn't work, but we're gonna do it. So you know.
Right now, people can't log in, but
it's weird. It's why I value these conversations with Alex that I have is like there's a back and forth where it's like he mentioned transparency. It's because they want to be transparent. It's like, okay, but then it's selective transparency, because where's the release date?
It is,
because where's the other things that people want to see? Where's the
the best form of transparency for sure right now is Need for Speed.
Yeah, 100%.
They're doing such a good job at being like, this is why this is, and all the little interviews and stuff they were doing, like it was really, really refreshing to see. Like, they even spoke about the Toyota stuff.
Yeah, I guess it's because they don't have that many people now. It doesn't get lost in company politics as much. Yep. It's just like, you know what? Let's figure out what they want to see, actually. You know, which is just
it's refreshing, and I kind of hope that most games go that route. I think Forza definitely needs to open communication with people. One thing that really bothers me about that as well is they do that monthly live stream that they do with Forza.
I'd never watched it before, and I watched my first ever one, not knowing what it was like live, and it was the Chinese car update. And I've never regretted a live stream.
Have you noticed that? So at the end, they say, "Oh, we'll do a Q&A section at the end."
Oh yeah,
at the end of that, right? Yeah. It's not live.
Oh yeah. It's not live, is it? Yeah.
None of it is live.
Yeah.
None of the show is live. It is all pre-recorded, but they pretend they're gonna answer live questions in the chat, because they're like, "Oh, give us questions. Use exclamation mark in the chat." They filmed it a week ago. Why are you pretending? And there's like a jump cut, and you're like, yeah, because you can jump cut like that online.
Well, yeah, because they go to the trophy thing, and it's in a completely different whatever. And
it's the same people, and you're like, Do you think we're stupid?
Yeah. That just feels so plastic. That feels so company. Ugh. And you don't
It
want to
feels
feel
gross.
company, right? Which I
It
think
feels
Need for Speed
gross.
does amazing at being
The
just like,
only reason I noticed this
yeah,
is because I was like rushing, I'm doing it super quick trying to get the videos out when I was doing those live
yeah,
streams. And then I go on YouTube and refresh. Nick uploaded like 30 minutes ago. I'm like, how did this man get it? He
yeah,
is not faster than me. I know for a fact. And then I'm like, this is higher quality than my stream. And
yeah.
I recorded. I'm like, all right, I know exactly what's happened here.
Yeah. It means they had it already ready to send, ready to
Which
go.
is fair enough. Like,
Yeah,
I absolutely get why they would do that, but
but
it
don't do
bothers
it
me
with
that they
the
pretend it's live.
yeah,
Like, don't
yeah.
pretend it's live. Especially with asking viewers to submit questions and stuff. It feels really, really icky. But transparency is definitely where we need to go. But yeah, the selectiveness and then being like really vague about it's always online doesn't really work right now. It's maybe that's too transparent.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Like Motorfest being like, "Hey, Rally Raid, what?" Because again, Motorfest mentioned it when they fixed Rally Raid. They were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, testers were like Rally Raid bad. We fixed it, by the way." Imagine if they were like, "Hey, always online. We know you have some worries about the servers. Don't worry, we fixed them all." Like,
Yeah.
and that's when you find out about it, right? Like, that's when they're like, "Hey, so you might have had these worries. We did it all." But
Yeah.
to address a comment left in the live chat of this podcast, the what actually is the issue with transparency left on Thursday when this podcast is uploaded, of course, as it's live. One of the major things is that the release date is cause for massive confusion with they're talking about optimization. There's no dust particles. There's rubbery textures. There's all of that stuff. There's all whatever, right? Which, sure, I guess if you ignore just the graphically bad, right? No dust particles. That's not really graphically bad. That's technically bad. The game was supposed to come out. Hey, you never know. Could still come out. They got 20 more days. The game, as far as everyone knows, was to come out within the month after when that trailer dropped.
Yeah.
But we've got no reason to assume that it's far away. When I say soon, if I said, "Hey Theo, I'm coming around your house soon," you wouldn't expect me round next year, right? So they've also now said soon. So again, they're saying soon. There's no concrete thing. So I kind of understand why people are worried with how technically wrong, how many technical issues there is in Test Drive.
Yeah.
Because
I
the game could
understand
come out at
that.
any point. Yeah.
I think one big thing that people misunderstand is that the build again. Me and you played a bit of Motorfest
Yes.
beforehand.
Yeah.
And usually is iterated that this build is months out of date.
Yes.
Because it is the most stable.
Yeah.
That's the thing they have is when they're in development with these games, the current build is not stable in any capacity. Yep. You have to go back and actually refine that build.
Yeah.
And hope that some of those things will fix the future builds. But we get given early access to a game, or like if you've tried a beta at home of a game, or if you've played an early version, that is not the current build of the game.
Yeah.
And there may be a bug with something to do with the textures that is in the current game, and so they removed it from that build to not even show it at all. So I'm pretty sure they've done those things, but they're just not in that build because it was broken. It didn't work. They didn't have it at the time because maybe the build is from 6 months ago. That's game development is not like just streamlined process adding something because there's so much that could break. That's something again that people might not understand in the whole scheme of things. But I get the point of they should show it in the best light.
Yes.
But one thing I really appreciate about Rockstar is that they don't do that.
Yeah.
If you go back to the GTA 5 trailer for, I think it was recorded on a PS3, but it definitely wasn't the final build of the game.
It looked terrible as far as I remember, comparatively.
But at the time, we were all like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!
Oh, yeah,
This
yeah,
looks
yeah, true,
incredible! I
yeah,
can't wait!
yeah.
I'm so excited!" But then, if you actually play the PS3 version of GTA 5, it
Yeah.
looks better.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that's what it was. Well, people were like, "Oh, because the GTA 6 trailers, people were showing the first trailer for GTA,
Yep,
and
yep,
then they were showing the final game and
yep.
final trailer, and it was like, oh,
And
whoa, look
that
at
is
that."
a much better way to do it,
Yeah.
I think, than what they did with Watch Dogs,
Yeah.
where they showed some like fake, impossible CGI level
Yeah.
stuff that passed as real gameplay, and then they showed the actual game, and it was worse. And at that point, that thing is what broke Ubisoft to not show the game looking better than it would be later. They
Yeah.
show a worse version. And again, it's the same with Need for Speed. They did the same thing. They started showing the game as is, but it actually came out even better, except the lighting and heat. But
Yeah.
it's I think it's difficult in where then you have the CGI trailers for test drive, and where brain dead people will go, the game looks like that. That's really good,
Yeah.
and they can't tell the difference. Because have you seen the amount of videos in the last few years of some really crap CGI car doing like some crazy, like a police car flying
Oh,
past
yeah,
or
yeah,
something?
yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
terrible CGI.
Yeah.
People believe this stuff. They're like, oh my god, that happened near me on the A40. People are idiots.
Did you see the G-Wagon that did a flip and then a police car and a rocket came down?
They believe this
No
stuff.
wonder the road was closed the other day. God.
So yeah, with CGI stuff, you need to be careful. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think the issue was they said that it was coming out early 2024, and people assumed based on leaks that it was
Yeah.
signed for this time. But the problem is the game has been delayed pretty much from
Well,
what
it was
we
like
know,
2021
at least
originally.
twice.
Yeah.
It's been delayed,
Yeah.
significantly. Likely, it's more than that, but I don't know.
I mean, it might be a 2025 game.
That would be suicide. I think any game releasing in
Oh, no.
2025 is
I forget GTA exists.
yes.
All right,
that would be.
yeah.
I think Call of Duty is going to skip a year.
They take my
2025.
advice. They take my advice. They go away for 2 years, and it's a 2026 game, and it's actually good. But I've kept you here for ages. But was going to talk about, because of course we play fake cars for a living. We drive around we play video games for a living is what we do, Theo. But I have tried to with this podcast. Tell you what, Josh does, and I've tried to with this podcast, and you are into the more car scene in general. We talked about SUVs at the top of Jaguar. I believe I told you something about Jaguar a while ago, because that's what was the plan originally. They were going to switch to Rolls-Royce Bentley competitors.
Mhm.
Now they're going SUV only. Plus, well, what do you think of the car world in general right now? Because there's some good stuff. There's a new MR2 being made. There's now it is EVs, but I would like to say there's some the hatchback I've dubbed, copyright pending. There's been a bit of a hatchback renaissance with the Renault 5 and the Volkswagen ID Summon and the Alpine A290. What else is there? People are doing race cars again, like the Audi R8 7th final version.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the state of cars?
It's a weird one. I think policies are the biggest problem right now in terms
100%,
of in America and even now in Europe. Slowly, Ford does not sell. Well, they do list them on their website right now, but if you went to a dealership and asked for a new year Fiesta, you wouldn't be able to get
Well, they
one.
cancelled they don't produce them anymore as well.
The Fiesta is dead.
Yep.
The Focus is dead. The base model Ford is now the Puma.
Yeah. Oh god. Did you see they unironically tried to replacement for Fiesta was like a people carrier? It was like a mini people carrier. Like disgusting. Yeah, but carry on.
But
Oh, I believe Theo has frozen. That's no. My Wi-Fi has bugged, actually. Hang on a minute. Oh, well, that's terrible. Oh, God. Well, we'll hope this fixes. And we'll hope we can get back to him in a reasonable amount of time. We'll see what happens. Yes, Mr. Theo.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. My Ethernet cable doesn't clip in, so it slowly comes out. Yes. So you were saying?
Yeah. I think it's difficult to talk about at every point.
Yeah.
Because I could be here like another 7 hours.
It'd be a different episode at this point. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is I feel a bit of a sense of worry.
Yeah.
Because again, when I was growing up and what I would see on the street, even where I was, I saw like this Subaru, and it wasn't a super high-end Subaru or anything, but I didn't remember exactly what model it was.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing a Subaru and thinking, whoa, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was so easy to find low-end cars that you thought, yeah, that's actually really cool. And
yeah.
It puts you into cars. The Fiesta is gone.
Yep.
Like, these... there's gonna be at Meet soon.
Yeah.
Puma STs with pop and bang maps.
Yeah. Oh god.
And I will just refuse. I'm not. As soon as I see that happen, I will never step foot near a car meet again.
Well, the thing is, like, what happens to like Jaguar's gonna have no place in racing games anymore?
Yeah. Well, Jaguar in general, I actually spoke about this because.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah.
Okay, I looked on their website. Their cheapest Jaguar SUV, which again they will probably do more of them as they take this transition.
Yeah.
Their cheapest SUV, I think it was like £42,000. I think it was like 43, 42. And right now, in case you don't know, if you go to a dealership for JLR, it's Jaguar, Land Rover, Range Rover, all in one kind of area. I don't think there are any, but if so, very few dedicated just Jaguar, just Land Rover, just whatever places. They always usually have a couple of the other car. The Range Rover Evoque, which is the cheapest Range Rover, is 40 grand. It's 38 actually.
Yeah.
So you're telling me I'm going to go to a JLR dealership and go, oh, there's a Range Rover for 38 grand. Here's a Jaguar for 42. I'm not going to buy the Jaguar.
Because they've not got, like, Urus. Like, it's not a Lamborghini badge. It's a Jaguar.
No,
Jaguar have been
it's a Jag.
desecrating their reputation for... You can pick up, like, a Jaguar dirt cheap sedan. And it's like... They don't have the stature to be more expensive than a Land Rover.
No. It's below Audi, maybe slightly higher than Volkswagen in terms of status.
Yeah.
You think, oh, it's a kind of cool, and you're like, oh, I'm supporting British by buying this, Britain. So you want to go for a Jag, but everyone's just going to get a Range Rover. They have killed Jaguar.
Yeah.
Jaguar is dead.
Yeah.
Jaguar will not survive. So it's the end of Jaguar. I don't see it going any other way.
I did also...
To get rid of any fun, cool car is just crazy.
Yeah. Like, it seems like what everyone's doing. I mean, at least Audi's bringing back, like, they're making new models they're making new revamps. Lamborghini's been cycling through their whole iconic roster, right? Aventador's now Revuelto, the Dustbin is now a Lanzador, the Hurricane's getting replaced soon. Like, but even high-end cars, right? I did do a tweet. Since I started the podcast, this was... on December that I posted this. Since the start of the podcast, Audi R8, Audi TT, Jaguar F-Type, Chevrolet Camaro, Ford Fiesta, Ford GT. I love how the Fiesta gets on there. Beautiful. Lamborghini Aventador, Acura NSX, Dodge Challenger and Charger, which, oh god, that new one, and McLaren 720S, all cancelled in the span of just over a year.
It's worrying. It's worrying
yeah.
because every brand is now going SUV route, and even Porsche. Porsche would not exist without the SUVs.
Yes.
Thankfully, they still really push their cool cars.
Yeah.
The Taycan was their first electric car, which always boggles my mind because I saw people talking about the Rivian R3 or whatever
Yeah.
it was, and people being like, "Oh my god, it looks like a Volkswagen Golf," until you realize it's the height of a Tesla Model Y. It's massive. The wheels on it are bigger than a Mini Countryman.
Yeah.
It's an SUV. It is not a hatchback. Stop it.
Yeah.
But why do they need to be so big? Why can't they make a genuine hatchback? Why? Because look at Porsche. I know, again, the Taycan starts from like £100,000 or whatever. But why does everything have to be so massive? Why can't I have a fun little hatchback?
Yeah. That's the major
why are
thing.
my options Honda E, Fiat 500? The Fiat 500 is sick.
Yeah. My girlfriend
They're like
wants
a bath
Fiat
version
500.
of them.
Yeah.
They're really sick.
You can
Like,
actually make them look pretty
small
sporty.
cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Mini Cooper does less than 100 miles. I think the Fiat 500 does a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
The Honda
The
E again.
E or the electric?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Honda E does again 120 miles.
Yeah.
It's just pointless. It's stupid, and it's almost worrying because you've got these two completely different things, like electric cars taking over, and then you've got SUVs taking over, and of course they do combine because then you get massive electric cars.
Yeah.
But they're both just damaging to cool, fun cars. And the thing is, it's so slow because Europe has indefinitely delayed the ban of combustion engines.
Well,
They're not going to do it now.
Yeah, as long as synthetic fuels can work, done. Thanks to BMW.
It's done.
Yeah.
So why are they still making everything so massive and not sporty in any capacity? There needs to be, and that's the big worry, is that if you look at Ford, they used to have a few cool cars in their collection, like the Fiesta ST. I used to bully it. I'm gonna miss the Fiesta ST.
Yeah.
It's a cool entry point that's like really fun and sporty, and it makes a noise, and it's a good car.
Yeah.
It's just the biggest thing is elevating the cost of entry to a fun, reasonably sized, reasonably priced car. Because the GR86 is done.
Yeah.
You can't buy those anymore. That's gone. So the MR2, hopefully, because it's going to have the three-pot engine from the Yaris, which actually I think sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Like, if they get it light enough, that would be a really fun car. I hate to say it because I hate Toyota. Honestly, they're a horrible brand for reasons.
Yeah.
But of any brand, they're doing the best.
Yeah.
Like in terms of good moves.
I will say though, Renault, hear me out.
That was cool.
They do get French point deductions, but this thing, the fact it's come to market looking pretty close to what it looked like before, it's kept cool things like battery indicator on the hood, which is something that I did not expect them to keep. Josh didn't expect them to keep. It comes with a baguette holder if you want it.
Yes.
I genuinely, this thing, we looked into it like pretty deeply the other day on the podcast, and I was like, you know what? I wouldn't mind this as a first car. It's got reasonable range as well. Like, it's got actually pretty good range. And
what it's doing to me is like it's really telling that these kind of out of the blue cars are instantly so much cooler.
Yeah.
Ford has done nothing cool as of recent.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue they still do the Mustang, but they killed the Focus RS. Like,
Mark E negates Mustang points.
Exactly. Having the Mark E exist ruins it completely.
Yeah.
So it's always like the French brands just kind of coming out of nowhere and being like, "Here's a cool car."
Yeah.
Oh, mate, it's just so weird. And again, the electric car sales completely in the toilet. They just don't exist anymore.
The Taycan is worth like 40, 50K now.
My Panamera is worth more than most Taycans now, which makes no sense. Because the Taycan is smaller, actually more sporty, so it doesn't make any sense. But it's up to I think it's an opportunity for, again, brands like Renault to just come out of nowhere,
Yeah.
do a cool car, do it well. You just kind of gotta hope that maybe they make a petrol version, because I don't think the
Oh,
electric
sure.
one's gonna last for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the electric car market's kind of in the toilet. I don't think it's gonna come back
100%.
out.
I mean, Aston Martin just delayed their entire electric plans because of electric cars
It's
right
just
now.
it's not gonna be great.
No.
Electric cars are now less of an issue to me than just big SUVification
I will
of
say,
cars.
the worst thing there is this thing right here. I was so ready to be like, this is a sick car. And it's this thing. And it's to be fair, I just realized it wasn't even on screen. But this thing right here, I'm like, that's cool. I go to Josh and I'm like, you know what, Josh? That is a cool looking car. If it's fast, it looks sporty. That might be genuinely a really good introduction into the hatchback market. And then he reminds me that that's not a hatchback size car. That is the same size as the 600 regular. And my world shattered. Because if that came as a hatchback, it would be actually like a pretty cool above, sporty looking. It takes the Audi A1
It's
design.
infuriating.
And and it looks good. But it's too big and slow. It's got like
The
1
thing is,
horsepower.
you lift these cars to make them bigger and heavier, because then add the batteries and all.
Yeah.
And by the time you've done that, so I don't know. So okay, my experience with cars in general, and the cars that I own and have owned and have experienced.
Yeah.
The best cars to get in, drive, go, have fun at sensible speeds, and sometimes maybe a little bit less sensible.
Yeah.
But ultimately, actually enjoy at sensible speeds are smaller cars.
Yeah.
Everything feels faster in a smaller car.
Mm.
So the Mini Cooper, the JCW Mini that I've got, that thing is 220 horsepower, I think, something like that. But by comparison, it's actually quite big compared to the previous models. But it is small. It weighs about 1,300 kilograms.
Mm.
It is honestly the most fun you can have at like 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
When you drive a Mini like that at 30 miles an hour, you feel like an equivalent in my big like V8 Lexus, for example.
Yeah.
You need to go about 100 to have the same amount of fun as you do 30 in that. This is how hatchbacks are. And the best thing is, it's a cheap car, and everything to replace is quite cheap comparatively. So you are there slamming the gears, slamming the clutch up, like making it peel. It doesn't matter, because it's designed to take that kind of brute.
Yeah.
And then making them big and heavy instantly changes that dynamic to be, it feels like I'm just floating along the road. Sure, that feels comfortable.
I was gonna say it's not
but
really
it's
a
not fun.
car anymore. It's just it's just a car, I suppose. It's just a tool,
Exactly.
is what
it
it's
becomes
become.
a tool.
Yeah.
I like to explain as Tesla's white goods.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like going to Curry's and buying a new fridge.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose that does make sense. Yeah. I mean, especially with the American culture of need to get in car, right? Which we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly, that's where it loops back to. The biggest problem is the link between car dependency in American cities, and even in the UK, this is happening more. The new estates that they build are very far away from any shops or anything like that, so people are going car dependent. They become more tools and less fun. That and EU regulation absolutely demolishing hatchbacks. So from what I know, the rules were so harsh on hatchbacks to the point that the EU like 6 rules or whatever they are. They're so aggressive that it makes no sense financially to make smaller cars, because the rules are less strict on SUVs and heavier cars. It's per weight. So adding it more weight and making it bigger and taller ultimately just makes people go, oh yeah, I can actually. It means they can buy it. It means they can actually sell this car and make money, because these little hatchbacks would cost 60,000+ if they wanted to put all the equipment on them that they needed to make them legal in terms of emissions. which makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever, because I've read more articles and more research based on the whole electric car thing. I don't really mind electric cars. I think they have a point in the future. I think they'll replace hybrid cars, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think they could ever become the dominant thing because they are heavy by design.
Yeah.
They are heavy. Small or large, it doesn't matter. They may as well be big. And that's why we're seeing so many big cars that are electric. Because the amount of weight that those things carry, most emissions on cars today are not tailpipe emissions. They're tires and brakes emissions.
Yeah.
The heavier the car is, the more it'll wear those things, the worse the emissions. So from what I've seen, small modern hatchbacks actually emit overall less, the petrol versions, than electric SUVs.
Yeah.
Because the worst emissions are the tire and brake emissions. Because their engines are so efficient today. And not to say this was the case 10, 20 years ago, but now it is. And like that BMW, I know that's not even fully electric, but that BMW XM that weighs what, like 2,800 kilograms or something like that. That thing weighs so much because they put electrical components on it to a point where
the Xiaomi car upcoming is 2.3 tons. The upcoming Xiaomi, it can't legally go into, like, what is it, parking lots or whatever, any like high-rise parking lot. And the worst thing is, look, this thing looks like it would be big, right? This is a 2.3 ton car. Carry on.
2.3 tons?
Something like that, yeah.
That's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate.
Like you were saying,
really unfortunate. But yeah, that BMW XM, I think it's 2.8 tons, which I worked out, if you put average 4 heavy blokes in there, you need a truck license.
Yeah.
You need in the UK, anything over 3.5 tons, you have to have a truck license. So two cases, if that happens, more cars become heavier and heavier and heavier, you have to get a truck license.
Yeah, exactly.
to drive a Range Rover.
Yeah.
Or they up the weight limit to like 4 tons to get a truck license, which means they will go crazy and car manufacturers will average like 2.8 tons for most of their cars, which is instantly death machine. That will kill so many people because they can't see.
Exactly. Yeah.
How many electric, like, have you seen, I don't know how many you've seen, but the amount of Taycan videos where people for some reason just accelerate into a wall or into a window or something.
Well, there's that viral one, right, where he parks and then
he like drives off his driveway.
Yeah.
These things already weigh like 2 tons. So imagine them taking the SUVs and removing the restrictions and things like that. And they're quick. They're like 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds or something like for these massive things. People are gonna drive through like living rooms.
Yeah. Like it's
and it's not gonna stop
thing.
It's just gonna keep going. It shouldn't. There's no. I feel like such a boomer. Like, why do these cars need to go over 70 miles an hour?
Yeah.
It's not even that. It's the acceleration is just unnecessary. Why does this car need to accelerate at 3 seconds? That is not why someone buys an SUV.
And it
was not the point.
It was 1.9 thousand kg to 2.2 thousand kg for the Xiaomi car.
Oh my god!
On that same topic that I mentioned with this, also parking lots with these big cars. You can't go into a parking lot with what's the limit? I think it's like 2 tons, right? But
I don't know. The Panamera I've got weighs 2 tons. It's too heavy.
Yeah. Like,
so add electrical components to that, it's gonna weigh more.
Yeah, it's insane. And then, in like 2 years, you can pick it up for like 5K as well. So that's a bit of fun. I know that Porsche SUV is gonna drop like a brick, and that's
oh my god.
That thing. People are hating on it already, but they're not the people who are gonna buy it. But
imagine like we've seen the situation with UK roads. They are awful. They are absolutely awful.
Yeah.
Potholes everywhere. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And does it surprise you that cars are getting heavier and heavier and heavier?
Yeah.
You might notice in industrial estates, the roads end up worse because of the big trucks driving on these roads all the time.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Surprise, surprise. All the and it's like one small person sat in these cars, and they're like 3-ton cars. Why does this person need such a big car that is damaging the road? And I sound like some kind of eco-activist, but it's so
Yeah.
funny how car people are now aligning with eco-activists to the point where, like, please, can we get rid of these evil, evil cars? I never
Yeah.
would have imagined it, because I don't care genuinely about, like, I would rather the replenishment of fuels based on the Porsche e-fuels, using carbon from the air to create fuel.
Yeah.
That way you're not adding more stuff to the
Exactly,
atmosphere.
exactly. Well,
Not ruining
especially
it
with
even.
lithium ion mining.
Yeah,
Oof,
yeah.
God.
And then so you get to the point where we literally align with Greenpeace.
What's the world come to? Look at us.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I want to. It makes no sense to me, and it comes back to one big thing to me is I hate how throwaway cars have become.
Yeah.
To the point where they're obviously trying to encourage you to buy new car. But I think the best thing you can do overall with cars is e-fuels come into play. Even before e-fuels come into play, buy a used old petrol car and run it into the ground. You'll have more fun,
Yeah.
and it'll be better for the environment than the person that goes to buy this Porsche and swaps it out after 2 years for the latest model.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that car, then no one buys it because
Yeah.
they want the newest model, and it ends up just sat there or being crushed.
Yep. Yep. And then all that.
Used
At
and run
that
it into the
point,
ground.
and the worst thing is that they have like a limit, right, where they become like carbon neutral or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's like
They have to do, I think it's like 80,000 miles.
Yeah.
A new car to become carbon, electric cars to come. I think petrol, it's like 20,000.
the average Londoner is not managing to get that many miles out in this thing in the amount of time till their accounting job has got them the next the EV Urus or whatever. Like it's not worth it at the end of the day. Like
It's really wasteful. The batteries are not recyclable in their current placement, which is the worst thing because every component of a current car is replaceable. And then you go electric. The most important component is not recyclable.
Yeah. I forget who it was, but someone did it pretty good where it was like, you go into this little station and then your battery literally gets, like, the car's built to be swapped out.
But the thing is, that battery that gets replaced is going in the bin. You cannot, like, revitalize that battery. You cannot refresh that battery. You're just replacing it.
Yeah.
And and we're going from replacing batteries this big that make the car turn on and off. And we're going, the whole car is batteries.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't make sense to me as the only future option. I think the best future option is e-fuels, and also just a fully, like, synthetic made up fuel as well. And then I know the process of hydrogen is still not great, and I don't think overall it'll be the solution.
It's not, like, nationally viable. Like, those plants have been closing down.
But
yeah.
In the current position with trucks, it kind of makes the most sense because you don't want to load batteries into a big, like, hauling truck. It just doesn't make sense.
God, I don't want to know what that Tesla semi-truck weighs.
One thing I saw was, like, the whole thing of, let's put wires above the roads on the motorways so that trucks can attach to them and charge as they go. Use trains! You've created trains. Use trains.
Yeah.
And then use electric vans for the final delivery from the station to where it's going.
Right? Like,
We've already had that. Why are you recreating? It's so funny how we do all these complicated designs, and we always loop back to, trains are a pretty good idea. That was good, wasn't it?
Tesla with the boring company or whatever, where he's sat in traffic and he's like, God, my metal box that I'm in right now is stood still for a little bit. What if I could get in a tube underground with other people in metal boxes? Yeah, that's completely unique, actually.
Yeah, so let's just recreate traffic underground.
Yeah, except it's only Teslas, and
Yeah.
it's just gonna be more clogged because it's single lane. It's a
It makes zero sense when this is again. This is why I love London in
Yeah.
that it's the thing that they've done. Obviously, the ULEZ expansion, debatable.
yeah.
I think in areas where they're car dependent, like Southeast London, ULEZ should not be a thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
But in the rest of London, that is hyper connected by decent, fast,
It's amazing.
reliable rail. Why are you using a car?
Yeah. Yeah. Truly. Like,
It makes no sense. And what people don't understand is you can be in love with cars and you can be pro public transport
1000%.
because the more people you have on public transport, the more people walking gives you more road for pure enjoyment of driving.
Yep.
And not just I have to drive to Tesco.
Then they're not the tool
because
anymore.
it's my only option.
Yeah. Like,
What we want is a world where you don't need to use a car, which then kills all these fat, stupid things you can see on screen here.
yeah.
And it means that every car is just fun.
There you go. Like,
That's what you want.
yeah. Especially when, like, you can get, look, train tickets are a joke overpriced, right? But I can get a return trip and full day any transport in London, DLR, buses, tube, anything for like off-peak £25. And that's half an hour train there, anywhere I want to go.
Parking if you were using a car.
Insane. Like, that's the thing. It's that I just, like, it's just not practical in the slightest. And I see these, like, flowing bits of traffic in London, and I'm like, you just, like... And plus, I get to walk. Like, I like a good walk through London. Like,
It's interesting when you go to central London and you kind of, like... You kind of stop for a second and you go... There's cars moving. They're not stood still. Because there's so few people actually driving. Because it's stupid, cars move.
Yeah.
And then you see people in London late at night. In central London, it's free to park after a certain time, like in central London.
Yeah.
And people like just jump out at Big Ben and take a picture because there's no cars on the road.
Yeah.
It's incredible. This is the future we want.
Yeah.
Is to be able to go to like the enjoyment of a drive, being able to do that is the goal.
Yeah.
I want to make driving more enjoyable, and it kills SUVs in the
Yeah. Especially when it's so easy to escape London, right? You want to go for a drive, you want cars and whatnot, you just hop on a train and you go out somewhere else, and then you drive your cars there, and then you come back with a £20 return ticket. Like, done. £20 you probably would have paid... which you would have paid to the ULEZ zone anyway to drive your car at 2 miles an hour.
Well, that's the thing. So a lot of cities are trialing this like similar electric only kind of.
It's hitting
thing.
Oxford, I believe, if not.
Yeah,
has
so
hit
Oxford
already.
is one of them.
Yeah.
They're gonna do. I think it's theirs is again a little bit cheaper, but they're also gonna do a car thing in general. They're trying to stop cars coming into Oxford.
Oh.
But the problem with it is that in London, it doesn't make sense to drive. It is slower.
Yeah.
It is more it's inconvenient. It doesn't make any sense unless you are like Bob the Builder and you need to get to a job. That because you need your tools. I understand that you need your van.
Yeah.
Everyone else, it makes no sense. I need to get from here to here.
Like, if you just
take a
own a
train.
Mercedes sedan, like, what are you doing? Like, what?
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. However, other places doing it when they do not have a sensible alternative makes no sense. So, like Oxford, no good train links. The buses take 3 times as long as taking a car.
Yeah.
You can't start charging people for entering when you do not have a viable solution to the problem. That's why London, I'm like, ULEZ, it sucks, but take the train.
The
it's
tube
faster anyway.
is the biggest thing about it. Like, the tube is what's saving it. Like, that interconnectivity. Like, you're always...
That's the reason they can justify the cost.
Exactly.
No one else can do that. Get some trams installed. Get a train, overground train system at the very least. before you start going, yeah, no cars allowed.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
just. That's not going to reduce it in the long term. People are just going to suck up that charge because ultimately it still takes a third of the time to take the car.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't help anything. You're just lining your pockets.
yeah.
And hell, if you line your pockets and then use that money to put a train system in, then I'm gonna be happy.
There you
But
go,
they
right?
won't do that. They're not gonna do that. That's
Yeah.
not the idea. They just nightmare.
Issue
I
is
hate
like
it so
the
much.
budget for building and starting a tube system current day. Because I'm like, God, Milton Keynes, you know what? It's bloody beautiful for cycling. It just kind of needs a tube system. And then it's like, God, it would only need like 3. And then it's, yeah, the cost for that would be immense. Because, like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's the fact that London started it when, I don't know, hey, drilling from one opposite side to the other one. Oh, yeah, I'll do that in about £1. Go on. Yeah, that'll feed my family for a year. Brilliant. But back when that was a thing, it started. That's what means it's at the position it is now. And my only hope is those tube stations have been getting further and further out. They're reaching like.
One day, London will engulf everything around it.
Yeah.
And honestly,
yeah.
that's probably a great thing.
If it brings the tube with it, like, maybe I'm just a bit of a geek and a bit too much of an explorer, I suppose. I love coming out at a new station and just being like, I'm in a different place now. I'm like, yeah. Like,
I was looking into the HS2 stuff recently because another thing is to be, I hate HS2, it's sort of waste of money, blah, blah, blah. I never thought that. HS2 is great. Rail
now it's a
should
waste
be...
of money, but yeah.
Okay.
When they cancelled it. It was amazing if they finished it.
Well, they're finishing it to Birmingham. So they're keeping phase 1. Which, again, you can already get a pretty quick train to Birmingham from London anyway. But from what I read, it actually cuts the Birmingham travel time in half.
Oh, crazy,
so,
yeah.
Which is really, really good for anyone near Birmingham, or near Birmingham. Because that journey time has now insanely dropped. And again, it adds capacity. So the current Birmingham route will still be used, but maybe by people that are not quite going to London. They're going like halfway.
Well, there's 2 options. I can take the train which goes directly from one of the Milton Keynes stations to London, or I can take the one that stops at Tring, Cheddington, whatever, and that takes an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. So HS2 is, so from what I know, I think it goes about 220 miles an hour maximum or something, which is twice as fast. So again, I think from memory, I think it's an hour and like 40 minutes currently Birmingham to London.
Yeah.
And it drops it to 47 minutes.
Insane.
Which is like
that's
amazing.
10 minutes longer than me, and I'm in Milton Keynes.
That's what I mean. So now think of all the people that can now have job prospects from being in London, like, but living in Birmingham. Like,
in
that's
Birmingham,
kind of crazy.
right? Yeah. Like, all right, you want your cars? Go put your cars in Birmingham, all right? And then go travel in. Like, it's insane. And it's a good thing.
It's crazy.
I think the tube needs to extend outwards. And then if the tube can infect like it's the Last of Us virus, I'm happy because it's just been extending outwards. And if it's already there, I feel like that's where the budget would be justified. Where it already reaches it, it's like, oh, well, I can already take the tube from what's at the bottom of MK, Bletchley to London. Might as well connect that to top end.
They're already kind of expanding because obviously they did the Elizabeth line, which connects against still progressing, but they're going to have it so that you can tap in from Reading.
Yeah.
And I think it goes all the way like to the very like east of London.
Yeah.
But they had plans to do Crossrail 2.
Yeah.
They paused those plans. However, they have started the process of preserving the land required that they would have to buy to actually do it. So they're doing another Crossrail project, which reaches even further out of London.
Yeah.
And the hope is they keep doing these projects to the point where, again, for Londoners, it makes it even more efficient to get around by train, but also people slightly outside and then slightly outside of there, and then more and more and more, until eventually England is London and Americans will be right.
Yeah.
You live near London? Yeah.
There you go.
The whole of England is London.
Yeah. lives in like Glasgow, and it's like, oh, UK, you live in London, right? Give me 20 minutes, and yeah, probably. Like
And then again, if you wanted to go out for a drive, you take the train up to like Scotland.
that's
you have
beautiful.
the best roads.
Yeah.
You can imagine.
That's the big thing about HS2, man. If it was the same time to go to
Yeah.
Birmingham, it goes to Scotland, and then you can just diddle about in some field, some abandoned racetrack, and then take 2 hours there and back. Well, 2 hours there and then 2 hours back.
Yep.
To spend a whole day diddling about in your car, having a bit of fun on some open roads. I'd say that's worth it. I'd say that's
Absolutely.
It's not 5 hours there, 5 hours back, but
Yeah, no, it's a lot more. It's
Yeah.
it's a weekend at least.
yeah. But God, imagine 2 car guys justifying the train.
I know, but it just makes sense that
Yeah, 100%.
this less cars on the road,
Yeah.
more road for car people.
And cars are just being used as not
Exactly,
just a
cars are
tool
being
anymore.
used as-
Yeah.
It's slower, so therefore it's for fun only. So everything will be like a caterum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just get to have fun because it goes back to actually making cars for fun, making cars because people want the car, not because whatever else, man.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep. There will definitely be less brands, but there will be more cars, like
And there
more
you
fun
go.
cars.
That'll be the hope, I suppose.
Yeah, that's kind of my hope.
I suppose, and
We'll see if it
I
goes
guess
that way.
in 20 years, it's the racing games that are gonna have to deal with modern cars. So unless we want every racing game to in 20 years have classic cars only, which like what current year R8 is the newest R8 they have because the R8's an SUV now. Like it all comes back to us playing with the fake cars, you know. But I have kept you for incredibly long. I will probably even split this up. I'll probably have this go out over 2 separate weeks, so it's not just a 4-hour sit down for someone to listen to this one. But thank you, and thank you for absolutely not whining while I definitely kept you for way too long. I apologize for that. But just thank you for being on the podcast. Very much.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it will be. I mention it in the intro, which I will add in post. But yeah, BlackPanthaa. If you're not already, you can find him on presumably everywhere.
Everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's like BlackPanthaa. Well, it'll come up if you search BlackPanthaa, I assume.
Yeah.
Surprising Disney ain't after you for that one, honestly. The other guy the other day was right. It's a surprise. Also. When are you doing your Reddit? Because mentioned a Reddit to you way back when. I feel like you could get some stuff out of that. Because it's been reclaimed now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been reclaimed. I just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah. I feel it's a good thing to do like weekly, monthly. You get a bit more sense of community and whatnot. So
yeah.
Give it. Consider this a reminder. Give it a consideration.
Thank you.
You know.
Thank you.
There you go. Oh, and Josh wants videos on that bike. So there you go.
Yes.
Reminder number 2.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. I'm gonna be the generic YouTuber and be like, big things in the work, folks.
Trust me, that's been me ever since Goodwood. Those videos are still not out. You'll see your name in a video on the channel, and you're like, I didn't film with him recently, and it'll be the Goodwood videos. But yes, thank you for joining me. And that's gonna be about it from both of us. Any last words to the viewers?
Don't buy SUVs.
Don't buy SUVs. All right, in a bit.